Chapter 994. Right. Lit Grove pointed at Professor Fossil in the front seat and said in a low voice, "I just saw Professor Fossil kill someone." Bona-kun looked surprised and then shook her head. "It's none of our business. Don't worry about it." "But, shouldn't we call the police?" "Call the police? What are you going to say?" "Tell the police that you discovered the murder with magic. Then we're just going to ignore it." "What else are you going to do?" "Be careful that some research organization discovers your ability and captures you as a test subject." "Are there many such organizations that capture people like us?" "Yes, a lot, so we can't expose ourselves." "Forget it. My life is more important." The bus stopped outside Sandro National Park. Because it wasn't fully open yet, there weren't many people here. At the edge of the park was a residential area with shopping malls, supermarkets, and hotel restaurants. Of course, the tourists who came to Sandro National Park weren't here to enjoy the hotel restaurants. Most of them were here for camping and mountain adventures. The teacher in charge was Nicholas, the school's security director. The students gathered. After Nicholas said a few words, the students were free to do whatever they wanted. Everyone could do whatever they wanted. After all, they were all adults and had their own ideas. After the meeting time was given, the students were completely dismissed. Everyone left in twos and threes. Some students planned to camp in the wilderness of the park. Some planned to spend the night in the hotel. Lit Grove and Bona-kun moved together. "Bona, what are we going to do now?" "I'm here because it said that there's nature essence in this forest. I'm here to find it." "What's nature essence?" Lit Grove asked curiously. "It's a supernatural substance bred by the forest. It's similar to some kind of moving plant. It has low intelligence and avoids humans. It's not a natural spiritualist. If you get the essence of nature, you'll be able to touch nature magic," Bona-kun said. "I'm an illusionist witch. I want to learn nature magic. Can I learn?" "If you find enough nature essence, I can share some with you," Bona-kun said. "But you'd better learn your talent magic now." "Then when will you teach me magic?" "When you call me teacher, I'll teach you magic." "Ah." Lit Grove looked at Bona-kun. It was too awkward for him to call a girl younger than him his teacher. "Teacher." "Bona." "All right, let's go." Bona-kun brought Lit Grove into the forest. "Teacher Bona, how are we going to find the essence of nature?" "Don't worry, it's still early. Let's find a place to rest and wait for nightfall." "Does nature's essence only appear at night?" "Yes." The two of them set up 2 tents by a small stream and started a fire at the same time. One must be aware of safety precautions when lighting a fire in the wild. If there was a fire in the forest, then they would face huge compensation. There was once a young man who caused tens of millions of dollars to be lost because he set fire to the forest, and this loss was borne by the young man himself. This was not a problem that could be solved by going to jail. Sometimes, compensation was more hopeless than going to jail. Tens of millions of dollars in compensation was enough to destroy a person's entire life. They were not allowed to take planes, buy luxury goods, or even enter restaurants that cost more than $80 per person. However, most of the young people in America were more aware of safety precautions. There were more than 20,000 summer camps in America, and tens of millions of young people participated in them every year. In this aspect, America was far ahead of the world. The sky began to darken. The two sat in front of the fire, ate something, and started chatting. "Are there many people like us in this world?" Lit Grove asked. "Not many, maybe 1 or 2 out of 100,000 people. Also, most awakened spiritualists are weaker than you," Bona-kun said. "They're the same whether they're awakened or not. At most, they can see evil spirits. Evil spirits. Is it scary? Lit Grove looked at Bonakun with some fear. You won't feel scared once you get used to it. I awakened when I was 5, Bonakun said. But I have a teacher by my side to teach me, so I've never experienced fear, Bonakun said. What about your teacher? He passed away, Bonakun replied. Bonakun replied, every spiritualist has their own inheritance. My teacher taught me magic, and then I will teach you, passing on my inheritance. Can I learn your magic too? Lit Grove asked. As long as you can learn it or I know it, I can teach you. But a wizard's magic is much weaker than a witch's, Bonakun said. Just because you learn it doesn't mean you can use it. Is there no way to increase your magic power? There are some, but it's very difficult, Bonakun said. I came to Los Angeles because I heard that there are many powerful spiritualists and organizations here. I hope to join them, Bonakun said. What organizations are there? I don't know about the others, but I know there's the Supernatural organization. It's an organization formed by supernatural people. They've participated in many operations and maintain the safety and stability of L at the same time. I hope to join them. Then I'll join too, Lit Grove said. They don't recruit just anyone. Someone like you who's just awakened and doesn't have any combat power can't join them. Are there any requirements to enter the supernatural organization? Lit Grove asked curiously. First, you have to have a certain combat power or be able to support the team, Bonakun said. Bonakun said, I don't know the exact process, but I've heard my friend talk about the supernatural organization. So, before I go for the interview, I need to improve my strength. Bona. Teacher, I'll help you. I'll definitely help you join them. Chapter 995. There's a camp up ahead. The two discovered the camp up ahead. Footprints, marks, campfires. Just then, images flashed through Lit Grove's mind. A couple had been attacked here. It wasn't by wild animals. It was a human. Lit Grove immediately rushed to the camp to search for clues. As he found more information, the images in his mind became clearer. What's wrong? Bona Twain asked. Lit Grove shook his head. Someone died here. It was a couple, but their bodies were dragged away. No, one of the men is still alive, but he was taken away too. Do you know who it is? 175 centimeters tall, wearing size 43 shoes, weighing about 70 kilograms, and very strong. It's Professor Forsyll. Bona Twain said. What does he want? We can't let him continue killing people. We have to call the police, Lit Grove said. Let's call the police, Bona Twain said. My phone has no signal. Use yours. Mine has no signal either. Bona Twain glanced at her own phone. It had no signal either. Let's go outside the forest. It's a bit secluded here. But just then, the fog started spreading. Damn, why did we encounter the fog so coincidentally? Do you recognize the direction? Bona Twain asked. Lit Grove shook his head. I can't. It might be that way. Most people had a poor sense of direction. They could only tell the direction when there was a reference. Some trained soldiers or navigators could tell the direction from the stars, moon, or sun in the sky. But most people couldn't even look at the stars. Lit Grove pointed in a direction but realized that the two were going deeper and deeper. They couldn't see the rest area at all. Suddenly, a cry for help came from up ahead. The two exchanged a look and immediately rushed over. In the distance, they saw Nicholas lying on the ground. Another man stood in front of Nicholas, holding a bloody wooden stick in his hand. The person with the stick was none other than Professor Forsyth. Don't kill me. No, Nicholas was crawling on the ground, his head covered in blood. Professor Forsyth grinned evilly. Stop! Ritter Grove shouted, jumping out of the shadows. Bona Twain had no choice but to follow Lit Grove out. Professor Forsyth looked at Lit Grove and Bona Twain. Not only did he not panic, he became even more excited. Another lab rat. Professor Forsyth's eyes glowed with an unusual red light, and his chest rose and fell rapidly. Suddenly, Professor Forsyth charged at Little Grove. So fast. Before Lit Grove could react, Professor Forsyth had already grabbed him by the neck and lifted him up. Ritter Grove was shocked. He hurriedly struggled and used his fist to hit Professor Forsyth's head. However, Professor Forsyth didn't move at all. His strength was simply too great. Bona Twain reached out to grab Professor Forsyth's arm and cast Fear Illusion. However, nothing was created. Professor Forsyth wasn't afraid of anyone, so naturally, he couldn't create enemies that he feared. Professor Forsyth waved his hand and Bona Twain was thrown to the ground. Just then, a few more figures walked out of the fog. Professor Forsyth threw Lit Grove to the ground. Professor Forsyth, what can we do for you? One of them said. I want these two alive. Kill that one and bring his body back, Forsyth said. One of them mentioned Lit Grove and suddenly said, Huh. What a coincidence. You know him. He was a security guard at the morgue of a hospital we stole from. Lit Grove couldn't see the person's face clearly, but he could already tell. This was the person who had stolen the body a few days ago and then knocked him out with electricity. The group of people brought Lit Grove and Bona Twain through the fog for a long time. They were brought to a huge building deep in the mountains. The entire building was shrouded in fog. Bona Twain and Lit Grove were locked in a bulletproof glass cage. It's all your fault. If you hadn't been so impulsive, we wouldn't have been in danger. Bona Twain looked at Lit Grove resentfully. I used my phone to record Forsyth's attack and threw my phone on the ground, Lit Grove said. He didn't notice at the time. I believe someone will find out that we're missing. As long as the rescue team finds my phone, they'll definitely come to save us. I hope so. Those people aren't ordinary people, Bona Twain said. What do you mean? Professor Forsyth lifted you in the air with one hand. Even a weightlifter can't do that. Just then, a figure walked over from the corridor outside the prison. It was the body thief. He strolled to Lit Grove and Bona Twain's cage and looked at them with a smile. Hello. Lit Grove rushed to the edge and shouted through the bulletproof glass, You're breaking the law. Hurry up and let us go. Ha. The man laughed. Do you think that's possible? How much money do you want? I can give you that much, Lit Grove said. My dad is rich. Do you think this is kidnapping? Isn't it? I didn't bring you here for money. Then what is it for? It's an experiment. You guys are the lab rats. It's illegal to use humans for experiments. Ha! You're such a cute kid. The man laughed. Lit Grove's face turned red. What do you want for us to leave? You can't leave here, at least not alive, the man said. The man said, if you're lucky enough, you might be able to persist in the experiment. If you're unlucky, you might be able to survive. Are we going to die? No, it's scarier than death. The man took off his hood. Lit Grove was shocked. Half of the man's face was skinless. There seemed to be something wriggling on the flesh. I used to be like you, but I was lucky to survive the experiment. Did Professor Forsyth do it? No, we were sent by our boss to help Professor Forsyth. We're not Professor Forsyth's men. Why didn't you run? Chapter 996. Just then, the big guy dragged someone in. To be precise, it was a corpse. The corpse's skull was gone. Leaving a trail of blood on the ground, the big bloke arrived outside the cage. "Dog, how should we deal with this guy? Is it trash?" Mr. Fossil said that it's useless. "Then throw him into the corpse pit." At this moment, the person who was supposed to be a dead body. Suddenly, he let out a sharp cry, and his body spasmed violently. The big man lifted up one of the man's legs and looked at it. Litgrove and Bona Twain saw that the man's brain was flashing red. It was as if his brain was filled with neon lights. But in the next moment, this failed product's brain suddenly exploded. Brain juices splattered everywhere. The big guy wiped the blood off his face. Ritter Grove and Bona Twain were both shocked. It was very likely that they would be like this person, subjected to strange experiments, and then their brains would also explode. Dog looked at Ritter Grove and Bona Twain. "What kind of experiment are you doing?" "Professor Fowles invented a neuron drug that can greatly develop the brain, improve the brain's operating ability, and improve intelligence. However, the side effects are also very obvious, and the failure rate is very high," Dog said. "Will also be used for this kind of experiment?" Little Grove asked. "That's right, you guys will also be sent to be test subjects." Both of them were pale with fright. Even Bona Twain was no exception. The big man dragged the body to the wall and pressed a button. A passage opened up in the wall, and the big man was about to throw the body in. Suddenly, a few figures rushed out from inside. They were a few big lizards, but their hind legs were very thick, much thicker than their forelegs. They did not look like lizards, but more like a hybrid between a lizard and a human. They pounced on the big man. The big man shook off one of the lizard men, but the lizard man was stuck to the wall. The other lizard men were attacking the big man, and at the same time, they were fighting over the corpses in the big man's hands. Bona Twain and Litgrove were scared out of their wits as they watched. The big man's clothes had already been torn by a few lizard men, and the big man's real body was revealed. His body had obviously been experimented on. His body was badly mutilated by the lizard men, but he was still very tenacious. The big man kicked the lizard man over and stomped it to death. He then grabbed the lizard man on his shoulder and twisted him to death. Of the remaining two lizard men, one dragged the corpse back into the tunnel. The last one charged at Dog. Dog turned his head to look at the lizard man that was charging at him. He suddenly stretched out his arms and grabbed the lizard man's neck at lightning speed. Crack! The lizard man was strangled to death by Dog. "This is also a test subject?" "You can say that. This is a discarded product left behind by the previous researchers of this laboratory." Dog said, "There are a lot of these things in the corpse pit, and there are even more terrifying monsters." Looking at the big man in the distance, he was about to throw the lizardman's corpse into the passage and close it. At this moment, Professor Fossil walked in from outside. When he saw the lizardman corpse on the ground, he couldn't help but be stunned. "What is this?" "Mr. Foss, this is an experiment left behind by the previous owner of this lab." "Oh. This isn't a human, is it?" Professor Foss picked up the lizardman's corpse and began to examine its joints, the muscle tissue and bone structure at night. "This isn't an experimental mutation. It looks like an evolved species. Is there still such a thing?" "There are more, but the exact number is unknown," Dog said. "Then go down and get some," Foss said in a commanding tone. "Mr. Foss, it's too dangerous down there. This lizard man isn't the only monster down there. There are even more terrifying monsters," Dog said. "I don't care. The boss sent me here to absolutely obey my orders," Foss said matter-of-factly. Dog's expression was a little ugly. He narrowed his eyes and looked at Foss. This is not on our list of tasks. We are only responsible for helping you find the living and the dead, as well as the enemies who invaded here. Other tasks are not within our scope of business, Dog said. If you refuse, then don't even think about getting my experimental data, Foss said forcefully. This isn't a human, nor is it a species from the human world. This is a monster from hell. At that moment, Bona Twain, who was locked in the glass cage, spoke up. Foss turned to look at Bona Twain with a disdainful expression. Have you read too many novels or comics? I'm serious. This is a monster from hell. It has a very strong evil aura, Bona Twain said. Although I don't know why they're here, I'm sure that they don't belong to the human world. Speaking of which, they do have their own language. Professor Trevor once did research on these lizard men. He found that they have high intelligence and some social skills, Dog said. Where did Professor Trevor get these lizard men? He made a deal with a cult. As for the true origin of the lizard men, we don't know either. Can you still contact that cult? Foss asked. We can't. You guys may not be able to deal with these things, but I can, Bona Twain said. You can. You can't even beat me. How can you deal with these things? That's the difference between us. You're a scientist, and I'm a witch, Bona Twain said. Bona Twain said, there are some people or things in this world that you can't understand. You say you're a witch. Why should I believe you? Lit Grove didn't understand why Bona Twain would voluntarily reveal her identity. Wasn't it more dangerous for her to reveal her identity like this? Bona Twain obviously had her own plans. At that moment, Bona Twain grabbed her right wrist with her left hand. Then, everyone saw a frame outside the bulletproof glass float up. Dog and Foss were both surprised. Special ability. What's going on? What ability is this? When Foss looked at Bona Twain, there was a fanatical look in his eyes. Now you believe me, right? I'm a witch. Since you're a witch, can you come out by yourself? Chapter 997. Chen, your student is missing. Wright dialed Chen Zhao's number. When Chen Zhao received Wright's call, his first thought was that Lit Grove had gone somewhere else. Thinking about Lit Grove's personality, it was also possible. He participated in the spring camping trip. 6 people went missing with him, Wright said. The police are already investigating. The Forest Park's search team is also doing a carpet search. Could it be that he went somewhere else with his classmates? Chen Zhao asked suspiciously. No, he did go to Sandro National Park, Wright said. We can see from the surveillance cameras on the bus he took. Besides, it's not just the students who went missing. The security director, Nicholas, is also missing. According to the police, 4 other tourists went missing in the forest, and when they found their campsites, their luggage and tools were all intact. We also found traces of a struggle and blood at one of the campsites. Chen Zhao frowned. I have a friend in the police. I'll help you ask around. Chen Zhao then called David. David wasn't in charge of the case, nor was it in his jurisdiction. However, the LAPD's files were shared, so David could still find some information. David, did you get the information? I just received a message from Sandro National Park. The search team also went missing during the search. The search team also went missing. The fog in the forest is too thick. They might have gotten separated. It's only been 2 or 3 hours. We can't be sure if they got lost or ran into danger, David said. Are you going to interfere with this case? One of my students also went missing, Chen Zhao said. I hope he's already been killed. That's not an answer a teacher should give, David said. David said, also, the fact that you called me and asked about this case shows that you still care about your students. Ha! You seem to be mistaken. I'm only calling because I'm a teacher. It's not because I care about him. Just then, another call came in. After saying goodbye to David, Chen Zhao picked up the second call. Mr. Leon, what's up? Mr. Chen, there's a case of many people going missing in Sandro National Park. Your association should pay attention. Chen Zhao raised an eyebrow. Is this a supernatural case? Sandro National Park operated for 20 years, but it suddenly closed 3 years ago. It only reopened recently. 3 years ago, there were a total of 35 disappearances in Sandro National Park. Until now, no one has found the missing people. The police couldn't find her at all. I can't find it. The search team has also gone missing many times during the search, so I suspect that this is a supernatural incident. Got it. I'll pay attention to this matter. Then, Chen Zhao hung up and went to the headquarters. Along the way, Chen Zhao asked West to gather everyone. After arriving at the association, everyone gathered in the conference hall. There's a missing person case in Sandro National Park. We can't be sure if it's a supernatural event right now. Everyone, prepare yourselves and bring search equipment. We'll head to the location and investigate. Chen Zhao looked at Klaus and the others. You guys join in too. Yes, guild leader. Your weapons and equipment are of the highest level, Chen Zhao said. After all, Klaus and the others were normal people, so it was difficult for them to fight against supernatural powers. However, they were mercenaries, so they should be better at finding people. Guild leader, what about us? Pan En asked. Of course you're going, or do you not want to go? No, of course we want to go, Pan En quickly said. Pan En quickly said, also, my beast form can make my sense of smell even sharper. When searching in the wild, the smell will disperse easily, Klaus said, unconvinced. Smell might not be able to find the target faster. How about we compete? Pan En was also eager to show off. After all, as temporary members of the association, they were under a lot of pressure. In terms of internal members' attitudes, they were even worse than Klaus and the others. After all, Klaus and the others had joined the supernatural organization of their own accord. The three of them, on the other hand, had been forced to join the organization. So, they really needed a sense of approval now. Chen, you're not going. I'll go too, Chen Zhao said. Split into 3 teams, but don't be too scattered. It's very foggy there, so we might encounter danger. I'll go alone. No one had any objections to this arrangement. It was reasonable for Chen Zhao to go alone. Whoever stayed with Chen Zhao would become a burden instead. Padalu and I made some communication equipment for you, Jolik said. You can communicate even when normal equipment is disrupted. Okay, bring the equipment. Let's go. What do you need? First, I need to know the environment of the corpse pit, Bona Twain said. Professor Fursil looked at Dog. Do you have a map of the area below? No, this laboratory was built very early on, and it was an underground laboratory in the early days. Later, the underground laboratory was abandoned, and another laboratory was built above it, which is the building we are standing on now. Later, after Professor Trek took over the laboratory, he reserved the entrance and threw the failed products into it, letting them fend for themselves inside. How big is it down there? More than 10 times the area of the building above, Dog said. So big. Why didn't he just destroy the monsters? Because Professor Treko conducted an experiment on species self-adaptation. He felt that the failed products didn't completely fail. Maybe in a special environment, they can improve themselves. How many failed products are down there? Many, many. Professor Treco's experiment is a species hybridization experiment. In other words, humans and beasts interbreed. But if he wants to build a complete ecosystem, he needs a large enough area and a natural circulation system. Just having living things isn't enough, right? Chapter 998. What is this God's flesh and blood? Professor Forzel was also interested in it. I don't know. It was sold to Professor Treco by a secret organization, Dog said. This God's flesh and blood can grow on its own if planted in the soil. It can also grow in the water. If thrown on the ground, it will also grow on its own. This thing is down there. When Professor Treco was here, an accident happened in the laboratory. An experimental body attacked Professor Treco and stole the God's flesh and blood. Then, it escaped into the corpse pit. Professor Treco died soon after. Bring this thing out for me. Professor Forzel looked at Bona Twain. I need to rest first. I'm not in a good state right now. What Bona Twain needed the most now was time. She did not think that she would be able to come out alive after entering the dangerous corpse pit. Both of us need it, Bona Twain said. You have to change rooms for us. Dog, bring the two of them to another room. Also, keep an eye on them. The two of them finally escaped from the glass prison, and Dog took them to a suite. You can stay here. Right, there are condoms in the drawer. Dog sat down in the room. You can pretend that I don't exist. Bona Twain looked at Dog. She had originally planned to find a chance to escape. But with Dog here, they could not escape even if they wanted to. Dog had no intention of hiding and secretly monitoring them. Instead, he was openly monitoring the two of them. Why are you called Dog? Litgrove asked, puzzled. Dog. Because I'm loyal. Dog smiled at the two. I'm my master's loyal dog. I don't believe that you will remain loyal to the person who turned you into a monster, Bona Twain said. Maybe I can cure you with magic. I don't need to be cured. I'm very satisfied with my current state. Drug X is flowing in my body, giving me superhuman strength, speed, and brain activity. What is Drug X? Is it the drug that Professor Forzel researched? Drug X has nothing to do with Professor Forzel. Drug X was developed by my boss's laboratory, and my boss funded Professor Forzel to obtain his experimental data to perfect Drug X. If I help you get Professor Forzel's research data, will you let us go? Bona Twain asked. Hee. I've tried, but to no avail. Just because you can't find it doesn't mean I can't. After all, I'm a witch. I have a way to make him talk and hand over his experimental data, said Bona Twain. Dog laughed. Bona Twain wanted them to fight among themselves. Of course, if necessary, Dog did not mind using Bona Twain to get the information he needed from Professor Forzel. However, things had not reached that stage yet. If it was possible, Dog did not want things to turn out that way. After all, if he could easily complete the task given to him by his superiors, he hoped that it would be easy. Not through risky and violent methods to obtain experimental data. Just then, the big guy ran in from outside. Dog, there's another intruder approaching the security perimeter. It's not the first time. No need to be nervous, Dog said calmly. They're not ordinary people. The outer defense line seems to have been breached. Oh. They can breach the defense line. Are they from the military? Dog asked in surprise. Their weapons seem to be very powerful. The things we've set up outside can't stop them. The big guy picked up a tablet. There seems to be more than one group. There are people approaching from the left and right. Go and kill them all, Dog said indifferently. Okay. The big guy turned around and left. Klaus and his team formed a team with Gaia. Gaia was the strongest, so she would lead Klaus and his team. Plus, Gaia was also a veteran, so she was more familiar with the Lightning Squad's movements. The two sides complemented each other better. Slow down. Don't rush, Gaia said. I don't want Payne's team to beat us to it. He could feel the competitive relationship between Payne and the Lightning Squad. Of course, the Lightning Squad was also competitive with Payne, Eric, and Helith. They were good at different fields, but they were all eager to be recognized. The recognition of the members of the association and Qin Zhao. That won't do, Gaia. You don't want Payne's team or West's team to beat you to it, right? Klaus said. Plus, the president is acting alone. If he finds it first, we won't get anything. Gaia thought about it and agreed. If Qin Zhao took action, they really wouldn't get anything. Just then, Gaia's feet sank. A hand reached out from the soft soil and grabbed her calf. Gaia lifted her foot and a rotten corpse was pulled out from the soil. Bang! No need to thank me. Klaus blew the smoke off his gun. There are a lot of things hidden below. Be careful. Gaia looked ahead. A large area was made of the same soil. No one knew how many moving corpses were hidden below. Klaus took out a box and tossed it forward. Liquid spewed out of the box. The next moment, the box burst into flames and so did the liquid. The corpses hiding underground all crawled up. They didn't feel pain, but because of the temperature difference. The flames made them feel the temperature difference. The corpses wobbled toward the group. However, the corpses didn't pose much of a threat to them. A team member held a submachine gun. After a series of shots, the corpses all fell to the ground. Other than disgusting people, what else can these things do? Of course not, Gaia said. They're mainly used to defend against normal people. If they step here and get pulled into the soft soil, they'll probably die. Suddenly, a figure descended from the sky and landed before them. Klaus and the others reacted instantly and pointed their guns at the person. However, the person flashed again and disappeared into the mist. Klaus felt a whistling sound coming from behind. Oh no, he cried in his heart. Before he could react, he heard another clang. Turning around, he saw Gaia holding her sword horizontally, blocking the fatal attack for him. Chapter 999. The big guy looked at Gaia in surprise. Then, the big guy swung his fist at Gaia. Whoosh, the big guy's arm flew into the air. Gaia's greatsword didn't stop. The blade slashed at the big guy's neck. The big guy instinctively lowered his head, but a piece of his scalp was still sliced off. The big guy staggered back a few steps and touched the blood on his scalp. His eyes were filled with horror. Then, the big guy turned and ran. He had no choice but to run. Gaia was really too fierce. Just one move almost took his life. He runs really fast. The big guy covered his arm and ran away frantically. But after a few steps, he realized that there were still people in front of him. It was obvious that these people were a family that came here to play. The big guy dashed towards the few of them. The enemy is here. Seeing the big guy charging over aggressively, West immediately released his slow field. The big guy realized that his body had become sluggish. Then, a young man charged at him. The big guy raised his fist and smashed it on the young man's head. The young man's head exploded with a bang. But the next moment, his body also exploded violently. The big guy was less than 50 centimeters away from the center of the explosion. The violent explosion sent him flying. However, his body was simply too tough. Even in the face of such an impact, it still couldn't kill him. The big guy ran away again. These people were too crazy. A kid actually self-destructed. The big guy ran back to the lab. He was already heavily injured. Dog was chatting with Lit Grove and Bona Twain when the big guy barged in. However, the big guy was already very weak. He fell to the ground as soon as he entered the room. Dog was also shocked when he saw the big guy. "Belle, what's wrong with you?" One was a dog, the other was a bear. But looking at the big guy's size, he looked like a bear. "There's a group of ruthless people outside. Let's go. It'll be too late if we don't leave now." With that, Belle spat out a mouthful of blood. Dog looked at Belle on the ground, his eyes flickering. Belle's injuries were too serious. His head drooped. No one knew if he was unconscious or dead. "Your friend is injured. Aren't you going to help him?" Lit Grove and Bona Twain couldn't help but say when they saw that Dog was indifferent. At this moment, Professor Fossil hurried in from outside. "Our line of defense has been breached. Didn't you say that no one could enter this laboratory? How did this happen?" "What I'm saying is, if it's just the rescue team or the police, it's impossible for them to make it here alive." Dog said, "But if it's the military, then there's nothing we can do. After all, we can't fight against the military. The surveillance shows that they are not from the military. They seem to have special abilities." "Special ability?" "Just like her," Fossil said, pointing at Bona Twain. Dog looked at Bona Twain. "What do you know? Or do you know them?" "I don't know. I don't know anyone in LA. I've only been in LA for less than 10 days, Bona Twain explained. However, from what Professor Fossil said, it seemed that this person wasn't an ordinary person. It was very likely that he was a spiritualist like her, and not an ordinary one at that. This raised hope in Bona Twain's heart. "Professor Fossil, it's not safe to stay here for long. Pack your things and let's leave here first. Then we'll find you a laboratory to continue your research." But Fossil quite liked this place, and there was something special in the corpse pit. If he gave up here, then he would miss the thing in the corpse pit. "If you're caught by those people, you won't be able to continue your research," Dog advised. "Okay then," Professor Fossil replied reluctantly. "Wait. Do what?" "Open the passage to the corpse pit." Dog was impressed by Professor Fossil's idea. "Help me." Belle, who was on the ground, said weakly. Professor Fossil looked at Belle and then at Dog. "Are you going to save him?" Dog shook his head. "He's just a burden now." Professor Fossil dragged Belle's body out and returned to the room a few minutes later. "Did you get rid of him?" Dog asked. "I threw him into the corpse pit. Can we go now?" "What about the two of them?" Dog pointed at Lit Grove and Bona Twain. "Bring them," Fossil said. "They're still valuable. If we encounter those people, we can use them as hostages. Also, this girl is very special. I want to study her. Bona, Lit, let's go." Dog smiled at the two. "Fuck, I shouldn't be alone. I should be with them. I can't tell north from south at all." Chen Zhao ran around in the fog. He was completely lost. "Hey, there's a building up ahead." Chen Zhao immediately sped up. "Hello, sir. What can I do for you?" Chen Zhao ran to a restaurant in the shopping area of the park. After walking for half a day, he actually walked out of the forest. Chen Zhao didn't know how to face it. Grilled crayfish, braised beef. Chen Zhao ordered many dishes. The waiter looked at him. "Sir, are you alone?" Yes, alone. Let me confirm with you the dishes you've ordered. That's right. Come up, Chen Zhao said. After the waiter left, Chen Zhao took out his phone. Hey, Gaia, how are you and Klaus? We haven't found their hiding place yet. We're moving forward now, but it should be soon, Gaia said. How are you? Did you find it? Just then, the waiter placed a plate of grilled crayfish on the table. Sir, please enjoy. I'm fighting now. The monsters are very strong. Chen Zhao let go of the phone and continued, you guys be careful too. I know. Don't kill all the monsters. Leave some for us, Gaia said. Klaus, we have to hurry. Chen's already one step ahead of us. Chen Zhao then called Pan En. Pan En, how are you guys? President, we were attacked by monsters. Are there any casualties? No, we can handle it for now. President, how's your side? I'm fighting monsters too. If you can't beat them, retreat in time or send your coordinates to me. I'll go get you. Guild leader, we are capable of defeating these demonic creatures, Pan En said resolutely. Chapter 1000. We have to work hard too, Pan En said. Although we're not as strong as the president, we can't be too far behind. I can feel the aura of death in that direction. Helis pointed to the left and said. Just then, a few figures ran over from the fog ahead. They were Foss, Dog, Lit Grove, and Bona Twain. Bona Twain's eyes lit up. The people coming towards them all had a magical aura on them. But Professor Foss and Dog didn't feel it. Dog, go and finish them. Hellhand. Harold stood where she was. A big purple hand suddenly reached out from the ground under Dog's feet and grabbed half of Dog's body. Pan En and Eric also transformed at the same time. One turned into a cheetah, and the other into a brown bear. The two of them went up to the dog and started biting it. Dog was instantly covered in wounds. But just then, the fog behind them was suddenly blown away. What's that? A cloud of black fog whizzed over from behind and sent Pan En and Eric flying. Pan En suddenly turned into an eagle in the air, grabbed Eric, and landed smoothly. Dog and Professor Foss looked at Pan En and the others, then at the black fog. They didn't know where the black fog came from. But the black fog seemed to be aggressive. It actually attacked the two people who could turn into animals. This is the fog of death, Harold said. It attacks all living things. Harold took a few steps forward and stretched out her hand. Magic filled her palms. Feel my death. You're no longer a rootless mayfly. Let us merge into one. The death mist began to approach Helis. It could feel the magic power on Helis' body and the death on her body. Let's go. Seeing that the situation was bad, Foss immediately wanted to escape. Harold couldn't stop him. She was busy merging with the fog of death. But Pan En and Eric wouldn't let them escape so easily. Dog immediately grabbed Lit Grove's neck and threatened, if you keep chasing us, we'll kill them. But just then, a vine shot out of the fog, wrapped around Dog's neck, and lifted him into the air. Forster was so scared that he turned around and ran. The situation here was getting stranger and stranger. As for the dog's life and death, it had nothing to do with him. At that moment, Dog was struggling with all his might. However, the vine around his neck was getting tighter and tighter. It was as if it was about to break his neck. Morid walked out of the fog. The vine was under his control. However, there were many green specks of light hovering around Morid. Morid, why is it you? Pan En was somewhat unhappy because Morid had rashly interfered with their prey. I got separated from the team, Morid said. I ended up running into them. Morid pointed at the green dots around him. Nature's essence. You can actually actively attract nature's essence. Panon's tone revealed a hint of envy. Not far away, Bona Twain also had an envious look in her eyes. Hello, may I know who they are? Bona Twain took the initiative to ask. Supernatural organization. Morid glanced at Bona Twain. The girl was about his age. Bona Twain and Litgrove's eyes were instantly filled with shock. Are they from the supernatural organization? No wonder they were all so powerful. Suddenly, a huge object fell from the sky. Everyone was shocked and hurriedly took a few steps back. The huge object smashed a huge hole in the ground. Then Gaia walked out of the hole. She was holding a huge head in her other hand. Bona Twain and Litgrove's eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. Was this big woman friend or foe? And the head in her hand. What kind of monster did it belong to? The head probably weighed a few 100 kilograms, right? Gaia, why are you here? Morid asked. We fought our way into a building and this monster attacked us. When I was sent flying, I chopped off the monster's head. Were these people the members of the supernatural organization? They're really too powerful. Who knows how many times stronger than me? Bona Twain's eyes were filled with respect and admiration when she looked at them. Who is this guy? Gaia pointed at Dog, whose neck was wrapped around by the vine. Morid put Dog on the ground. Dog immediately attacked Gaia. But the next moment, Gaia punched Dog to make it behave. He caught us, Bona Twain said. Then it's useless. Gaia raised her sword and cut off Dog's neck. Boom, boom, boom. Just then, intense and frequent explosions came from the distance. Ha! It's coming from that direction. Gaia looked ahead. From the explosions, it should be Moore's attack. Moore seems to be much stronger. Let's go too. Bona Twain and Litgrove saw that these people didn't plan to pay attention to them, so they followed them. Don't follow us, Gaia said. We're going to fight. I'm not an ordinary person. I'm also a spiritualist. Bona Twain immediately revealed her identity. Me too, Litgrove said. We can help. Just then, a building appeared before them. But it was already in a sea of fire. Klaus and the others stood outside the building with a helpless expression. Klaus, why are you standing here? We were fighting with the monsters inside. Then more came and self-destructed inside. We were almost caught in the explosion and could only retreat. That's right. That's right. This guy's magic power has improved a lot recently, so he started fighting without any technique. Boom! Suddenly, a gigantic arm descended from the sky. This arm was as big as a person. This arm had been blown apart, and there was still charred flesh on it. At the same time, many lizard men ran out of the building. But before Gaia and the others could do anything, the black mist had already enveloped them. Any lizard man that was enveloped by the black mist would instantly lose their vitality. Their bodies dried up and fell to the ground. So scary. These people are so scary, Litgrove whispered. These lizard men were already very scary in their eyes. But when they encountered the supernatural organization, they were like children choosing adults as their opponents. Bona Twain's eyes shone with passion. Was this the supernatural organization? Was this the organization she yearned for? Chapter 1001. Suddenly, the ground of the building exploded. Then, a head with 8 spider legs jumped out. There was also a long tail at the back of the monster's head. At the end of the tail was a snake's mouth. Black candle. Hellies recognized the monster. Be careful. Black candle saliva has a petrifying spell. If you touch it, use your magic to resist it. Don't let it corrode you. Just as Helly's reminded them, Gaia charged forward with flames all over his body. Little Grove and Bona Twain's eyes widened. They looked at Gaia's godlike figure. Seeing Gaia charge forward, the black candle spat out a large amount of petrifying liquid. However, the moment the liquid approached Gaia, it was evaporated by the flames around Gaia. The flaming sword slashed down and the black candle was cut in half instantly. Instant kill. Both of them were in disbelief. Their shock was indescribable. Just then, a few more people came out of the ruins. West and the others also walked out from inside. Phew. We made it out alive. West looked very disheveled. He wiped the sweat off his forehead. More, don't you dare bomb our area again. We almost died because of you. Giselle looked at Moore angrily. You're not allowed to do that again. Is it all done? I don't see any more monsters, West said. That's weird. Where did the president go? He said he was fighting. I don't know what monster he encountered. It actually stalled him. It must be a very powerful and scary monster if he hasn't come here yet. Should we go look for him? No, West said. If it's a monster that even he can't handle, we'll only be a burden. Should we ask the president? West took out his communicator. President, is your battle over? Not yet. Did you guys solve everything? We've already taken care of it. We've even saved 2 survivors. Oh, 2 survivors. Who is it? Chen Zhao asked. Who are you 2? What's your name? We're both UCLA students, Little Grove said. I'm Little Grove. She's Bona Twain. Oh, is there anyone injured? They look quite normal. They aren't injured, Gaia said. Do you need help? No need. This guy is no match for me. I'll get rid of him soon. West thought about it. Since Chen Zhao could talk to him while fighting, it meant that the enemy wasn't a threat. Then we'll retreat first. Alright, you guys can go back first. Gaia put down the communicator and said, Alright, the president is fine. Let's leave this place first. Lit Grove and Bona Twain left with the others. The 2 of them had a new understanding of spiritualists. These people from the supernatural organization, regardless of gender, were all very strong. 4 of them were even younger than them, but they possessed astonishing battle prowess. Compared to the supernatural organization, the 2 of them were on a completely different level. Bona Twain had been determined to join the supernatural organization, but now, she had no confidence at all. After getting into the car, Bona Twain gathered her courage and asked, Excuse me, is the supernatural organization still recruiting? Everyone turned to look at Bona Twain. West asked, What element are you good at? Illusionist, and also knows a little alchemy magic. What magic level? West asked again. Magic level. Are there levels of magic power? Come with us to the headquarters. I'll test your magic value. West looked at Lit Grove. He is my student. You have a student at such a young age. I just got him. He just awakened not long ago. Okay. When they reached the headquarters, they were shocked by the size of the supernatural organization's headquarters. The association's headquarters had a new look and was huge. There was also the trial pagoda, which stood beside the headquarters, which attracted the 2's attention. Unlike the mysterious and hidden place they had imagined, the headquarters was filled with technology and a modern feeling. West brought the 2 to the magic testing room. Both of them were a bit scared. Stand on the magic testing machine and hold the spirit stone wood ball with both hands. Bona Twain went up first. Soon, she got her magic value, 45. That was really low. West thought back to the past. Everyone in the organization had about the same value. But after Chen Zhao came, everything seemed to have changed. Everyone's power was increasing. Even West himself had been a salted fish in the past. But now, his magic value had exceeded 200. A powerful leader could clearly make his subordinates stronger too. There might be strong and weak talents, but hard work was equally important. For example, Jolanash had always thought that she was a magic genius. She was one of the more outstanding ones in the supernatural organization. But after confirming the difference between them, she started to catch up. Although the gap between them had not shrunk, Jolanash's strength had truly improved. Then Lit Grove also went up. His score was even higher, 15. Sir, is our value high or low? Low, very low. How far from the standard? Bona Twain asked. West stood on the magic testing machine himself. It showed the number 209. Bona Twain's expression darkened. She didn't expect her magic value to be 5 times lower than a wizard's. So I'm so far away. How about this? You too can be temporary members of the organization. Of course, you won't get any salary or benefits, but you have to participate in some of the organization's activities. If your magic value exceeds 100, you can become an official member, West said. Also, as members of the association, you will receive a ring that represents your identity, West said. What ring? This. West took out 2 gray rings. Your magic value is level E now. This ring is your magic level. If you go higher, you'll be level D. It's a blue ring. Look at my silver ring. It's level C, the highest is level A. Chapter 1002. So we're members of the supernatural organization now. Bona Twain realized that joining the supernatural organization wasn't as difficult as she'd imagined. You're only temporary members, not official ones. You still have a long way to go. Do you have any IDs? Bona Twain asked. No, West answered. Then if we meet a member that we've never met before, we won't be able to recognize him, right? There are only about 20 people in the organization. How can we not recognize him? You can just recognize everyone in the organization. Are the members at the headquarters? No, our president isn't back yet. Yeah, where's the president? He's still fighting, West said. You'll see him when he comes back. The president is strong, right? Our president is a demon, West said. You can offend anyone in the organization, but if you offend the president, you'll die a horrible death. The last person who offended him was stuffed into a meat grinder. West's words made Bona Twain and Lit Grove shudder involuntarily. Stuffed someone into a meat grinder. In their minds, they were already imagining how terrifying this president would be. Does that person have a big grudge against the president? No, that person was only hired to beat up our president. When will the president come back? I don't know. Maybe soon. President, when will you come back? West called Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao picked up the phone. The battle here is about to end. I'll be back soon. Sir, that's $1,230. The waitress stood beside Chen Zhao, smiling. To be honest, she'd never seen someone eat so much. He'd eaten $1,200 in one meal. He'd eaten enough for more than 10 people. President, how come I hear another woman's voice? Are you really fighting? While paying, Chen Zhao said, Oh, I just returned to the shopping area outside the forest. Didn't you say you were still fighting? You remembered wrong. I said the battle is over. Just then, Chen Zhao saw someone walk past the restaurant. Keep the change, thanks. Chen Zhao quickly walked out of the restaurant and caught up to the man. Hi, Professor Forsyth. Hello. You are. Fosier turned around and saw Chen Zhao. He felt that Chen Zhao looked familiar, but he couldn't remember where he'd seen him before. Have you forgotten? We're colleagues, Chen Zhao said warmly. Oh. I remember now. You're that China Chin from the medical school. Where are you going? Can you give me a ride? A smile appeared on Foss's face. Of course, no problem. Chen Zhao got into Fossier's car, but he realized that there was someone else in the car. Chen Zhao wasn't sure if it was a person or a corpse. This was because the man's neck had been severed, and judging from the cut, it was probably done by Gaia's greatsword. However, the flesh on the neck was wriggling around the incision, as if it was sticking together on its own. He's badly hurt. Should we take him to the hospital? Chen Zhao asked. I was going to take him to the hospital. Fosier glanced at Chen Zhao and thought, this China guy is an idiot. He didn't even notice such an unusual situation. Fosier's car left Sandro National Park, but it was clearly not heading toward the city. Professor Fosier, I don't think we're going back to the city. Where are we going? Ha. I'm taking you to a good place. But I want to go back. You'll miss home even more later. Fosier picked up his gun and pointed it at Chen Zhao as he drove. Professor Fosier, let's talk. Don't shoot. I won't go back. Chen Zhao looked at the professor helplessly. Just then, Dog, who was lying in the back seat, woke up. The first thing Dog did was to touch his neck and move it around. It feels good to be alive. Dog exhaled. Who is he? An idiot who walked into a trap, Professor Fosier said. I think I'm involved in something. If I tell you now that I can pretend that nothing happened and I didn't see anything, will you let me go? Do you think that's possible? Chen Zhao took out his wallet. Here's my cash and credit cards. Take whatever you want. Don't hurt me, okay? Ha, Professor Forsyth and Dog both smiled meaningfully. Just then, Chen Zhao's phone rang. Pick it up, but you better think carefully. Don't say anything, Professor Fosier threatened. Chen Zhao picked it up. Hello, Fei Lai. Chen, when are you coming back? I might be late tonight. What's up? Would you believe me if I told you that I've been kidnapped? Just then, Professor Fosier pointed the gun at Chen Zhao's head, a warning in his eyes. Ha! Fei Lai laughed as if she'd heard the funniest joke in the world. Darling, are you kidding me? I'm serious. Put it on speakerphone. Mr. Kidnapper, you've kidnapped Chen. Please treat him gently. Chen has a bad temper, so don't point a gun at him. He hates it the most. Also, you have to prepare enough dinner. Chen doesn't like to go hungry and he eats a lot. Chen Zhao turned on the speaker as Fei Lai said, Mr. Kidnapper, you kidnapped Chen. Please treat him gently. Madam, I'll take good care of your man. Even Fosier couldn't tell if the woman was joking or serious. Okay, good luck. Goodbye, Fei Lai said. Chen, come back soon. I don't like sleeping alone. I'll try my best. After hanging up, Chen Zhao turned around and asked, how far are we from our destination? Do you think you still have a chance to escape? No, I didn't think that. Chen Zhao shook his head. I didn't think about escaping. I swear by God. I hope not. Fosier drove the car onto the desert road. Okay, let's get off. There's nothing here. Why did you bring me here? There's nothing on the surface, Dog said. He led the way. After walking for more than 10 minutes, he stopped, as if trying to figure out where he was. Then, Dog walked to a withered tree, moved away a stone next to it, and found a pull ring on the ground. With a clang, a narrow tunnel entrance was pulled open. Chapter 1003. What's the Wi-Fi password here? Chen Zhao asked as he walked in the tunnel. Both Fossil and Dog's faces darkened. China, Chen, you still don't seem to understand your situation. I know, Chen Zhao said. I'm being kidnapped. If you know, then why aren't you afraid? If I tell you that I'm scared, will you let me go? No. So I'll take it easy. Chen Zhao shrugged. Don't take my phone. If I wanted to tell someone, I would have done it long ago. I wouldn't wait until now. Fossil's face darkened. He felt that he had to teach Chen Zhao a lesson. Dog, teach him a lesson. At Fossil's command, Dog reached out to grab Chen Zhao's neck. However, even when the dog grabbed Chen Zhao's neck, he didn't move at all. You're not healed yet. Are you sure you want to fight me? Chen Zhao pulled Dog's hands away. Dog wanted to resist, but he realized that his strength was so insignificant before Chen Zhao. Dog, what's wrong? His strength. Dog's expression was very ugly. Chen Zhao sniffed the dog's body. I smell Potion X. And you, Professor Fossil, you smell Potion X too. You know Drug X. I don't just know. I've dealt with many weapons before. There used to be an underground lab like this about 100 kilometers away from here. I destroyed it. Chen Zhao grinned. Fossil and Dog's expressions darkened. Fossil raised the gun, pointed it at Chen Zhao's head, and pulled the trigger. Bang! Chen Zhao's head tilted back slightly. There was a clear mark on his forehead, but he wasn't hurt at all. No matter how many times, it still hurts to be shot in the head. Who exactly are you? Even a shot in the head couldn't hurt him. The two finally realized that they were in big trouble. Chen Zhao took out his phone. He'd found it in Sandro National Park. Chen Zhao opened the recorded video on his phone and played it for Professor Fossier. Professor Fossier, you don't seem to know, but Lit Grove is my student. I hate this guy, but I don't like others interfering with my education. Do you understand? China Chin. I didn't mean it. He's already been rescued, and he's unharmed. How about we pretend this never happened? I think I've said that before. Chen Zhao smiled at the professor. Since you don't plan on letting me go, I won't leave either. Oh, I was serious when I swore to God. I never thought of running away. Professor Foss looked at the dog. The dog received Professor Foss's gaze and secretly pressed a button on the remote control with its hand that was hidden behind its back. At this moment, a loud roar came from the depths of the tunnel. A huge monster rushed out from the depths of the tunnel. It was this monster again. Chen Zhao had seen it before in the underground lab. This was also Dog's killer move, directly releasing the giant monster in the laboratory. Dog knew how terrifying this monster was. It was definitely the scariest creature on land. The monster was already before them. Foss and Dog exchanged glances. As soon as the monster killed Chen Zhao, they would find a chance to escape. A bronze sword appeared in Chen Zhao's hand. The moment the monster charged over, the bronze sword swept up. The bronze sword swept upwards, and as the green blade swept past, the giant monster was split into two. Foss and Dog both gaped at Chen Zhao in shock. Do you have anything new here? I've already seen this in the lab. Foss and Dog were already confused. This thing was their trump card. But it was instantly killed by Chen Zhao. What was the point of fighting? Moreover, the underground lab was empty. There were only 2 failed products here. Now that one failed product was instantly killed, what could the remaining one do? Oh, you have a self-destruct device here, right? Chen Zhao asked. Don't tell me you don't. I know you do. The 2 fell silent. They knew that they'd caused big trouble. You're not going to talk. Forget it, I should go home. Just then, Chen Zhao took out a bomb. He'd taken it out of the warehouse when he'd fought the mother. Foss and Dog were both shocked. They didn't understand where Chen Zhao had taken out such a big bomb. No, it wasn't a bomb. It was a missile. However, the design of this missile seemed to be quite old. Also, where did this guy hide the missile? Detonating it became a problem. Chen Zhao took out his phone and called Jolig. Hey, Jolig, it's me. I want to know if you have a way to detonate this thing. President, is this the old missile from the underground base last time? Jolig looked at the connected image. Yes, Chen Zhao answered. Direct physical attack. Hit the needle at the head of the missile and you can detonate it directly. No shit, Chen Zhao said, rolling his eyes. I use it to bomb things, not to kill myself. Is there a way to make it detonate on time? That's complicated, Jolig said. You need to open the cover on the missile. Chen Zhao forcefully pulled off the cover. There was a complicated circuit board inside. Then, break the 2 wires on the top left and connect them together to make a simple circuit. Okay, then. Then run. President, you have 30 seconds. Wait. Didn't you say it's complicated? I said it's complicated. Also, you have 20 seconds. Fuck. Chen Zhao grabbed Foss and Dog and ran out of the tunnel. Boom. Before Chen Zhao could run 500 meters, the missile exploded. Foss and Dog were also turned to dust in the violent explosion. Chen Zhao had wanted to keep 2 of them alive, but it was to no avail. Both of them had been strengthened by Agent X, but they still couldn't withstand such a terrifying explosion. Moreover, they weren't in an open space but a tunnel. The impact they faced was many times stronger than in an open space. Fuck, Jolig, you're dead when I get back. President, you're really not dead. You really did want to kill me. Chen Zhao patted the dust off his body and pushed the rocks off him. Come get me. I'll send you the location, Chen Zhao said. The car he'd been in wasn't spared either. It sank into the ground. Chapter 1004. By the time he got home, it was already midnight. Even though Chen Zhao tried to be careful, he still woke Fei Lai up. Chen, you're back. Yeah. Chen Zhao caressed Fei Lai. He didn't want to wake her up. Ever since she got pregnant, Fei Lai's sleep quality had obviously decreased. Most of the time, a small sound would wake her up. Fei Lai moved her head to Chen Zhao's arm and fell asleep on his shoulder. After Fei Lai fell asleep, Chen Zhao gently moved her head to the pillow. After all, his arm wasn't comfortable. In the morning, Chen Zhao woke up early, which was rare. He prepared breakfast for Fei Lai. Then he sat in the middle of the lake and started practicing. Clatter, clatter. Just then, Zhirlin's voice sounded. Chen Zhao opened his eyes and saw that Zhirlin had actually gone into the water early in the morning. The temperature wasn't high right now. It was less than 10 degrees. Chen Zhao hurriedly went into the water and carried Zhirlin to the top of the internal alchemy, using his own body heat to warm her up. Baby, don't play in the water in the morning. Xiao Xiao, don't be scared. Zhirlin patted her chest. Her face was slightly red. She was still full of energy. However, Jerlin was still too young. She wasn't even half a year old. She was much healthier than other kids her age, but Chen Zhao still didn't want her to be too reckless. She didn't know what was important, but Chen Zhao couldn't just ignore her. Nevertheless, Jerlin's body was really good. She could already swim from the shore to the center of the lake by herself. Of course, she went with the flow most of the time. Because the waterfall next to the house kept falling, the water kept flowing out. Little Jerlin relied more on her own buoyancy instead of swimming. If she had to swim to the shore, she wouldn't be able to. Of course, she didn't worry about not being able to reach the shore at home. Apart from King Kong, all the other animals in the house could swim. Many of them were night owls and would be noisy at night. So, no matter if Jerlin went in during the day or at night, Chen Zhao didn't have to worry about anything happening. After Fei Lai finished breakfast, she also swam over. At the same temperature, Chen Zhao wasn't worried about anything happening to her. However, when Fei Lai approached the center of the lake, he still went into the water and brought her to the top of the internal alchemy. The family of 3 and the baby in Fei Lai's stomach enjoyed the cool morning breeze. The inner elixir kept releasing spirit qi. This was the inner elixir that Old Turtle had refined for thousands of years. Its spiritual qi was so abundant that it was even purer and thousands of times more vast than Chen Zhao's own magic power. Whether it was young Jerlin or Fei Lai, it was good for them to have more contact with the inner core. While the family was enjoying the morning view of the lake, a car stopped in front of their house. "Honey, it's Steven's car. What is this old man doing here so early in the morning? So annoying." Chen Zhao swam to the shore and wiped his head. Steven walked over with a smile. "Steven, what are you doing here instead of shooting a new movie? They haven't even turned on yet." Steven rolled his eyes. "I really envy that family. They can enjoy such a good time. Get me some breakfast." Chen Zhao brought a Chinese breakfast to Steven. "What are you doing here today?" "James wants to shoot a promotional video and wants to borrow your place," Steven said. "Why didn't he tell me himself?" "My face is big," Steven said. "What promotional video?" "It's Baroness Zola's clothing brand. She hired James to shoot a promotional video." "Fine. When is it shooting?" Since it was Zola's business, Chen Zhao couldn't reject. Even if he didn't count his relationship with Rasfa, Zola was quite close to him. "Tomorrow." "Sure. Tell James to contact me for the details." Just then, Fei Lai returned to the shore with young Jerlin. Fei Lai returned to her room and changed before greeting Steven. "Steven, are you eating lunch here?" "Of course, unless Chen chases me away." Chen Zhao looked at Steven with a dark expression. Fei Lai was just being polite. "You should say that I'm busy and won't disturb you." "Fuck, I don't care." "Anyway, I'm staying for lunch," Steven said. "Famtis, go and bring my things in." "What things?" Steven didn't come empty-handed today. Famtis brought in a few big boxes. Chen Zhao picked up a box. It contained a large packaged lobster. Chen Zhao switched to another box. It contained a white truffle that weighed around 500 grams. These were all high-end ingredients. For example, the white truffle in Chen Zhao's hands was worth at least $10,000. "Don't eat the lobster, Fei Lai. Anything else is fine. This is French foie gras. I don't need to explain its nutritional value. You know it better than me. Are you sure it won't lose its flavor with this packaging?" "It's all vacuum-packed, so it won't lose its flavor. It's also produced within 36 hours. The supplier is a West Coast company." "Is this company famous?" Chen Zhao asked curiously. "West Coast is the most famous company for high-end ingredients in North America," Steven said. Steven said, the West Coast company doesn't sell in large quantities. They only buy and sell all kinds of high-grade ingredients in limited quantities. Now, there's one more item on their list of ingredients, your wine. They have a supply. Of course they have their own channels. They're also asking about the source of the nameless wine. You're not here to lobby for them, are you? Ha. They did ask me, but I'm not planning to lobby for them. How do they know you know the source of the wine? I usually provide the nameless wine and purple brew at parties. After a while, they guessed that I know the source. You're really not here to lobby for them? Of course. How much can they pay me? A few $100,000. And it's a few million. I can get hundreds of millions of dollars for any endorsement. Why would they want me to be their lobbyist? Fine. Chen Zhao didn't doubt Steven's influence and appeal at all. Steven's name alone was worth a fortune. As far as Chen Zhao knew, Steven's endorsement fee for a top-tier luxury car was $120 million for 3 years. That luxury car brand had to provide Steven with 3 luxury cars of that brand every year, all of which were worth millions or even tens of millions of dollars. Steven just didn't take many endorsements. He only took this one. If he needed money, he just had to spread the word that he was going to take an endorsement. Chapter 1005. After lunch, Steven took his leave. Chen Zhao also received a call. It was from Kashiri. Hello, Mr. Chen, is your student still coming to work? Are you talking about Lit Grove? He hasn't gone to work yet. Yes. Kashiri was willing to help Chen Zhao as much as he could, but some positions couldn't be empty forever. However, some positions couldn't be left empty all the time. Someone had to be arranged to fill them. I'll let him know and have him go to work. After hanging up, Chen Zhao called Lit Grove. Lit, I heard you're back. Mr. Chen. Lit Grove's tone faltered. Then he revealed a hint of arrogance. What's up? Have you forgotten your job? Hearing that, Little Grove was infuriated. Mr. Chen, I'll repeat myself. I won't be a morgue guard anymore. Not now and not in the future. Are you sure? I'm not afraid of you, Lit Grove said. Fine. I hope you won't regret it. Chen Zhao hung up. Actually, Lit Grove was a bit flustered at the moment. After all, Chen Zhao had something on him. After some thought, Lit Grove decided to talk to Bona Twain first. Miss Bona. Yes. I've told you before about the university teacher. He's coming to find trouble with me again. Do you have any ideas? Where is he now? Bona Twain asked. Miss Bona, what do you plan to do? Teach him a lesson, of course, so that he won't dare to cause trouble for you again. He's very good at fighting. Don't forget that we're spiritualists, Bona Twain said. We also have the supernatural organization behind us. But he still has something on me. It's fine. I'll put a curse on him and he won't dare to cause trouble for you again. Fine. What should I do? Ask him out for a meeting. Leave the rest to me. Mr. Chen, I want to meet with you. Meet with me? Meet with what? Didn't you say you weren't going to obey my orders? I don't think we have anything to talk about. I just want to talk to you about this. Chen Zhao didn't know what Lit Grove was planning. Was he going to find a few more people to beat him up? He shouldn't be that stupid, right? After all, he had already been cheated once because of this. Chen Zhao didn't believe that he would be stupid enough to screw himself over a second time. Where do you want to talk? You choose the place. Then let's do it at Shallow Water Park, Chen Zhao said calmly. Chen Zhao also wanted to see what Lit Grove was planning. If he really wanted to do something stupid again, it would be easier for him to make a move. There were not many people in Shallow Water Beach Park, so it was convenient for him to do it himself. Sure, Shallow Water Beach Park, Lit Grove agreed readily. Ritter Grove secretly rejoiced. He'd been worried that Chin Zhao would find a crowded place and not fight in front of everyone. He didn't expect Chin Zhao to choose such a remote place. In the afternoon, Chin Zhao drove to Shallow Water Park. America's infrastructure was very complete. For example, there were more than 100 open parks in Los Angeles alone. As a result, most parks were uninhabited. People would only go to a few well-known parks. Shallow Water Beach Park was a remote place with few people coming and going. When Chin Zhao arrived at Shallow Water Park, he saw a few hoodlums in the distance. Ignoring them, Chin Zhao found a place to sit down. However, just because Chin Zhao ignored them didn't mean that they would ignore him. Chin Zhao hadn't even warmed up when the gangsters came to him. "Hey, Yellow Monkey, do you know where this is?" Chin Zhao lifted his eyelids and looked at the gangsters before him. "Shallow Water Park. Of course. I'm telling you that this is Crocodile Gang's territory." Secluded parks would generally become a gathering place for hooligans and scoundrels. This also caused some tourists who'd planned to come here to relax to not come anymore. It could be said that these secluded parks were the hotbeds of gangs. They would often do some illegal transactions here. Some might even commit some vicious crimes. For example, right now, they had their eyes on Chin Zhao. "Oh," Chin Zhao replied nonchalantly. "Looks like I need to teach you manners." The gangsters were already rubbing their palms, wanting to teach Chin Zhao a memorable lesson. Just then, Lit Grove and Bona Twain came in from outside. "What are you afraid of?" "What's there to be afraid of?" Bona Twain looked at Lit Grove in annoyance. Bona Twain was very disdainful of Lit Grove's cowardice and hesitation. "You should have the pride of a spiritualist. He's just a regular person. You might be able to beat him right now." "I heard that guy crippled a professional boxer," Lit Grove said. Bona Twain froze. Then she said, "Don't worry. We're spiritualists. We don't rely on our fists." At this moment, the two of them stopped in their tracks. They saw a few people in front. There. Lit Grove saw Chin Zhao surrounded by a few hoodlums. "Ha! Looks like someone's already one step ahead of us. I hope those gangsters can teach that guy a lesson." Bona Twain had the mentality of watching a show and did not mind if things got out of hand. If those gangsters could teach Chin Zhao a lesson, then they wouldn't have to do anything. Judging from Chin Zhao's clothes, they were clearly worth a few $1,000s. "Your clothes are nice." A gangster reached out to pull Chin Zhao's clothes. Chin Zhao pushed the gangster away and stood up. "Don't touch my clothes. You can't afford it." "Can't afford it? We're not going to pay. Are you going to take it off yourself, or do we help you?" "Take out your wallet. Your pants are nice too. Take them off." A few gangsters walked up and tried to pull Chin Zhao's clothes. Crack! Chin Zhao had already broken a hoodlum's arm and slapped him in the face. "I told you, don't touch my clothes. Bastard, how dare you fight back? Beat him up." Chin Zhao lifted a foot and the gangster flew several meters away. He clutched his stomach and couldn't stand up anymore. Then he threw an uppercut. The gangster in front of him spat out blood and fell to the ground. His chin had been smashed. The other gangsters couldn't escape their fate either. With a left punch and a right kick, more than 10 gangsters were all beaten to the ground by Chin Zhao. Crack! Chin Zhao stepped on the leg of a gangster beside him. Accompanied by the gangsters' pained cries, the scene became chaotic. Chapter 1006. You don't want to, right? Ah, screams filled the air. Not far away, Lit Grove and Bona Twain gulped. Is that guy really a university professor? Why do I feel like he's even more brutal than those gangs? Can you handle him? No problem. Bona Twain couldn't back down now either. The gangsters in front had all been stripped by Chinzhao. Take out all the money you have on you. I only have $10. You want to rob me with just $10? The gangsters wanted to cry but had no tears. Why did they ask for trouble? They were beaten up badly and stripped naked. In the end, even their money was stolen. Let's go up, Bona Twain said. Lit Grove plucked up his courage and followed Bona Twain forward. Seeing the two, Chinzhao glanced at Bona Twain. Is she your girlfriend? Why did you bring her here? I'm not his girlfriend. I'm his teacher. Chinzhao studied Bona Twain. Did you graduate from university? Why do I feel like you're younger than him? Cut the crap. He and I are here to lay our cards on the table. You know about him? Chinzhao asked. I know, Bona Twain said. His business is my business now. Oh, so you're saying that you're going to look at the morgue in his place? Who said that? I'm not going to look at the morgue. He won't either. Everyone has to be responsible for their own actions, just like those gangsters, Chinzhao said indifferently. If you keep bothering Lit, I won't go easy on you. Oh, how will you go easy on me? Bona Twain chanted a spell silently. Weaken. A beam of light shot toward Chinzhao. But it disappeared when it landed on Chinzhao. Chinzhao suddenly grabbed Bona Twain's neck and lifted her into the air. So you're a little witch. An evil smile appeared on Chinzhao's face. No wonder you're so brave. Bona Twain's neck was grabbed by Chinzhao. She waved her hands to grab Chinzhao's arm. But nothing happened. Her magic did not work. Let go of her. Seeing how cruel Chinzhao was, Lit Grove immediately went up to kick him. Chinzhao lifted his leg and kicked Lit Grove's stomach. Ritter Grove flew out and crashed heavily into the tree behind him. Light Grove kept vomiting blood from his mouth. Chinzhao casually tossed Bona Twain onto the ground. Bona Twain was panting heavily. She felt like she was about to suffocate. Chinzhao squatted before Bona Twain. Little witch, you're so weak, but you dared to provoke others. Aren't you too daring? Chinzhao saw the wallet fall out of Bona Twain's pocket. He picked it up. There was a student card inside. Chinzhao took it and looked at it. Bona Twain, so you're a freshman. A smile appeared on Chinzhao's face. Since you came prepared, I can't disappoint you. I'll treat you in my own way. Bona Twain and Lit Grove were extremely afraid of Chinzhao. This guy was too scary. They weren't on the same level at all. Chinzhao tossed them into the trunk. They were terrified. They didn't know what they would face or how Chinzhao would deal with them. What do we do now? What do we do? That guy will kill us, right? It's okay. Don't panic. We can ask HQ for help, Bona Twain said in the dark. She hurriedly took out her phone and called West. Hey, Bona, what's up? Mr. West, we've been kidnapped. Come and save us. Are you kidding? No, it's true. Lit and I have been kidnapped. We're locked in the trunk of a car. We don't know where they're taking us. Who's the guy? A university professor. He's so scary. He's Lit's teacher. He has a grudge against Lit, so I wanted to speak up for him, but he attacked us. You can't beat him. We can't. Come and save us. Bona Twain was only a little girl. She'd never experienced something like this. Wait, don't hang up. West called Jolig over. Jolig took the phone. Bona, don't panic. Send me your location. I'll track you. Okay, I've already found your location. You're heading out of the city. We'll go and save you immediately. Bona Twain heaved a sigh of relief when she heard Jolig's words. It's okay. The association has already sent people to save us. We'll be fine. Just then, they felt the car stop. Then the trunk was opened, and Chen Zhao dragged the two out. They looked around. They were at the foot of a mountain in a forest. Where is this? I'll kill you and bury you in the mountain. Chen Zhao smiled at them. The two almost peed their pants. Lit Grove looked at Chen Zhao in terror. Mr. Chen. I was wrong. I'm sorry. Please let me go. Fine, I was just joking. I won't kill you. After all, you're still kids. Hearing Chen Zhao's words, the two heaved a sigh of relief. I'm joking now, Chen Zhao said. You both have licenses, so you're adults. Adults should be responsible for their actions. I'll be responsible. I'll go check the morgue. Let's go take a walk in the mountain, Chen Zhao invited warmly. But neither of them was willing to move. Just then, Bona Twain lifted her arm. Do you know what this is? Chen Zhao was confused. What? Are you going to use some spell on me? Little girl, you're too weak. Give up. You're not my match. Don't waste your pitiful magic power. I mean the ring on my finger, Bona Twain said. Bona Twain said, this is the symbol of the supernatural organization. We're members of the supernatural organization, and we've already notified them. If you dare hurt us, they won't let you off. Pfft. Chen Zhao chuckled. He didn't believe them at all. In the association, you could get a ring as long as you paid to have your magic power tested. It wasn't strange at all. Plus, if they were members of the supernatural organization, how could he not know? Okay, stop talking. Let's go into the mountain. Just then, there was a whistle in the distance. A helicopter appeared above them. Chapter 1007. Is the person down there the president? West asked. Looks like, maybe. Klaus couldn't be sure either. The atmosphere on the helicopter turned heavy. The helicopter landed slowly and a group of people walked toward Chen Zhao. How is it? Scared now? Bona Twain looked at Chen Zhao proudly. Lit Grove was excited too. Seeing Klaus and the others fully armed, he felt like he'd found his support. Chen Zhao rubbed his nose and watched them run over. How did you know I was here? West glanced at Lit Grove and Bona Twain. President. Lit Grove and Bona Twain's expressions froze instantly. Before the pride and happiness could fade from their faces, they heard West's words and felt like they'd been struck by lightning. President. He's the president of the supernatural organization? At that moment, the two felt like the sky had collapsed. President, the two of them. West looked at the two ashen-faced men. One is my student, but on the first day we met, he found someone to beat me up. As for this girl, she's going to stand up for him. West and the others covered their heads. The two were asking for death. They could have offended anyone, but they had to offend Chen Zhao. At the moment, the two were completely dumbfounded. They'd only joined the supernatural organization 2 days ago. However, they had heard a lot of legends about this president. For example, narrow-mindedness, brutality, and terror. In the supernatural organization, the president was like a demon king. Every time they asked for information about the president that they had never met before, the members of the association all revealed a look of fear. Their eyes were filled with respect and their tone was careful. Now, they finally confirmed that the scary guy before them was the president of the supernatural organization. "President, I haven't had the time to tell you yet. The two of them just joined our association yesterday and are now our temporary members." Chen Zhao narrowed his eyes at the two. The two looked at Chen Zhao, trembling. They waited for Chen Zhao's judgment. Right now, they were panicking to the extreme. They'd thought that the people from the organization would save them. But after coming here, they realized that Chen Zhao was the real boss. Unknowingly, they had become Chen Zhao's subordinates. But they still provoked him. "Come on, let's enter the mountain." "Guild leader, should we leave now?" West asked. They were fully armed. They had thought that there would be a big battle, so facing Chen Zhao like this was too awkward. If Chen Zhao was unhappy, they would be in trouble too. "Before you came, you treated me as an enemy, right?" "No, absolutely not." West quickly waved his hands. "That's good. Since you're here, let's go meet an old friend." "President. I don't think there are any old friends in this mountain, have you forgotten? Those crypt demons." Are you guys unwilling to go?" "No, I'm definitely willing to go," West answered with a sad face. "Let's go. We won't lose the helicopter if we leave it here, right?" The group entered the mountains. Chen Zhao thought it was an outing, but the others weren't so free. Their hearts were heavy, and their footsteps were heavy. It was the same for Lit Grove and Bona Twain. They didn't even know where they were going. "Mr. West. Where are we going now?" "The entrance to hell." West glanced at the two, annoyed. "Mr. West. Mr. Chin. President isn't going to kill us, right?" "I want to kill you too right now," West said, gritting his teeth. "West, what exactly are those crypt demons?" Klaus asked. "A bunch of scary monsters," West said. "But we'll be fine as long as we follow the president. Back then, he killed so many monsters that they were all scared. But I hope he won't feed them to the crypt demons." Hearing West's words, the two's legs turned to jelly. "How are they compared to the monsters in the Tower of Trials?" Klaus asked. "They're stronger than the monsters on the first level," West said. "And much stronger." "What's the Tower of Trials?" Bona Twain asked curiously. "Why are you asking so many questions? You should think about how to make the president forgive you first. Will he kill us? If he wants to, he would have done it long ago. Do you think you can still stand here?" Finally, they reached the entrance to the underground relic. "President, are we really going in?" After entering the relic, the atmosphere immediately became oppressive and heavy. "President, I feel something in the darkness." "Yeah, the crypt demons have already discovered us. They're watching us in the darkness. Will they attack us?" "No," Chen Zhao said. "They recognized me." Everyone looked at Chen Zhao with a strange expression. At this moment, a figure appeared in the darkness and blocked their path. Hum, 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 the crypt demon let out a squeak. Everyone was ready to fight. Chen Zhao walked toward the crypt demon indifferently. The demon was even more nervous than the people behind Chen Zhao. It took 2 steps back. Lit Grove and Bona Twain looked behind Chen Zhao. As expected of a demon king. Such a monster actually retreated when it saw Chen Zhao. "Hey, old friend, I remember you. I think I made that wound on your body." "Old friend?" They were clearly enemies, right? Chen Zhao didn't know how they communicated. In the end, the crypt demon led the way. When they reached the underground pyramid, Litgrove and Bona Twain's eyes widened. However, the most terrifying thing was the entrance of the pyramid. Many crypt demons were there. All the crypt demons looked at the intruders with unfriendly gazes. Just then, a female crypt demon walked out of the crypt demons. It seemed that they had a new queen. Chen Zhao walked up and started talking to the queen. Basically, Chen Zhao talked and the crypt demons listened. The crypt demons couldn't speak the human language, but they could understand. Alright, I've already talked to them. You two can stay here. Ha! Both of them screamed in pain. 3 days, Chen Zhao said. If you stay here for 3 days, I'll forget about your offense today. Of course, I'm a democratic person. I can reject just like that. We can really reject. Chapter 1008. Chen Zhao left Litgrove and Bona Twain outside the pyramid. He went into the pyramid to see his old friend. At the top of the pyramid, Chen Zhao saw the old crypt demon. It was the only demon that could communicate with Chen Zhao directly. Of course, it didn't speak with words. It communicated with his mind. Human, why did you come back here? The old crypt demon lay on the ground. After Chen Zhao came, it still didn't move. It was too old, and no one could escape the fate of life, death, illness, and old age. I don't have any bad intentions, Chen Zhao said. I have 2 juniors. I plan to leave them here. Help me scare them. Other than that. Not long ago, I met another crypt demon tribe, Chen Zhao said. They also raised a wild boar monster. Hearing Chen Zhao's description, the old crypt demon stood up abruptly. It didn't have eyes, but Chen Zhao could feel its excitement. There are other races besides us? The old crypt demon asked in disbelief. Is what you said true? And they have Nissan species. Nissan species? What's that? Chen Zhao asked, confused. The wild boar monster you mentioned. We call it Nissan species, the old crypt demon said. The old crypt demon said, they were once specially reared as meat by our race, just like how you humans rear cattle, sheep, and pigs. You know about us humans. A long time ago, I once captured a few humans. They were brought before me, and then they died of old age here. I also learned many things about human society from their mouths. How old are you? According to your human calendar, it should be close to 200 years old. The old crypt demon said, can you help us get the Nissan seed? Get the Nissan species. Chen Zhao hesitated. The outside world is now ruled by you humans. If we leave this place, we will definitely be wiped out by you humans. Normally, we can only eat the earth locust or capture you humans. If we have the Nissan species, then we don't have to worry about our food source and we don't have to actively attack you humans. What's an earth locust? This is a creature that hides deep underground. It is also our main source of food. In the past, we ate the Nissan species. Then even if I get the Nissan species here, you guys are just like that. The Nissan also needs to eat. They can eat the earth locust. In fact, in the past, we used to feed the earth locust to the Nissan species, and then the Nissan species used them as meat. I can help you think of something. On behalf of our clan, I would like to express our respect to you and thank you for your help. The civilization of a race was not determined by how smart a single individual was. For a race like the crypt demons, their individual intelligence level wasn't much different from that of humans. But their population was too small, perhaps less than 1,000. Such a number would probably remain the same even after another 10,000 years. Humans were able to reach their current level of civilization because they had a large population and a long time. Chen Zhao wasn't worried that the crypt demons would rule Earth one day. What a joke. If they had such thoughts, they would probably be exterminated the next day. When they left the underground and the darkness, only death awaited them. Plus, they had a strong photophobia. Chen Zhao walked out of the pyramid with a smile. Bona, stay here. I told them that they'll take good care of you. Oh, you still have a chance to taste the crypt demon's special delicacies. Chen Zhao took out an invertebrate that was more than a meter long. It looked like an enlarged earthworm. This is an earth locust. I heard that it's very nutritious. President. I won't do it again. Please spare me. Bona Twain was about to cry. Spare you? Ha. That's impossible. Chen Zhao turned and left. Bona Twain wanted to chase after him, but a few crypt demons blocked her way. The others followed behind Chen Zhao. West came to Chen Zhao's side. President, isn't this a bit inappropriate? They're still kids, after all. Yeah. I think so too. How about you stay and take care of them? Kids should be taught well in case they don't know their place in the future. President's decision is very wise. I fully support it. Inside the crypt demon relic, the two were already in conflict. It's all your fault, all your fault. Bona Twain pointed at Lit Grove, crying. You said that the president bullied you. Why didn't you say that you provoked him first? Great, now you've dragged me down too. Lit Grove's face was filled with fear. Quiet. You'll attract the crypt demon's attention. It's all your fault, all your fault. Ritter Grove felt wronged as well. How could he know that he'd provoked a terrifying demon king? It was too late to say anything now. The searchlights in their hands didn't have much battery left. After a few hours, they were starting to dim. Along the way, no one dared to talk to Chen Zhao. Do you think we should raise a few crypt demons to guard the house? President, will they listen to us? What if they go crazy and kill ordinary people? Whatever, I'm just asking. At the foot of the mountain, they left in a helicopter. On the other hand, Chen Zhao drove back. Lapel, there's a party tonight. Dress up nicely. Hyson, I'm not free tonight, Lapel said. She knew the nature of Hyson's party. She didn't want to dress up and send herself to the tiger's mouth. If she fell into the trap, her life would be over. Lapel, I'm not discussing with you. You have to come tonight. There are many important guests at the party. Don't you want to be in the entertainment industry? If you catch the eye of one or two of them, it's not impossible for you to get a role on the big screen. Many agents use this to trick young and ignorant women. Many women were tricked by this every year. But Lapel knew very well what level Hyson was at. He was just a second-rate model agent. How could he know any big shots? What kind of high-end party could he attend? Stop joking. There were only a few people in Hollywood who could decide their own roles. Chapter 1009. Hyson, I really don't have time, and I have an interview tomorrow. I need to be in my best condition, Lepore said. Hyson's tone suddenly turned unpleasant. Lepore, are you sure you want to refuse my request? Lepore's expression was a little ugly. After all, if she fell out with Hyson, Hyson would directly freeze her and cut off her path of retreat. Then, her life would become very difficult. After all, Hyson had arranged all of her jobs. If Hyson didn't arrange a job for her, Lepore would have nothing to eat in 10 days. Hyson, I really can't go. Then forget it. Hyson's tone became cold. Lepore knew that the situation was not good. If she fell out with Hyson, she would have to change an agent. But she was the weaker party. Changing an agent meant that she would have to start all over again. If she was a famous model or artist, many agencies would be willing to sign her. But for an unknown model like Lepore, there were too many beautiful women in Los Angeles who could replace her. Even if she jumped down from the tallest building in Los Angeles, she wouldn't be on the entertainment news. She would most likely be on the social news. Moreover, she was not in the best stage of development. The best stage of development for a model was between 13 and 16 years old. The golden age for a model was between 20 and 25 years old, which was even shorter than the professional lifespan of an athlete. Lepore had been a model since she was a teenager, and she was now 22 years old. If she had to start all over again, her career would probably be greatly affected. After all, other modeling agencies would rather sign new models, who were younger and had more development potential, than sign older models like Lepore, who had no reputation at all. Wait. I'll go. Send me the address. Lepore had no choice but to compromise. That's a good girl. You're not young anymore. You should find a way out for yourself. Lepore was indignant, but she had no other choice. However, if she went alone, she would definitely be sending herself into a tiger's mouth. But who should she find to go with her? After thinking for a while, Lepore suddenly thought of someone. Chen Zhao. He seemed to be a good candidate. But she didn't know if he would be willing to help her. Lepore decided to give it a try. She dialed Chen Zhao's phone number. Hello, teacher, I'm Raphael. What is it? Are you going to pay me back? No. Raphael curled his lips. Does this guy only remember that I owe him money? Then what is it? Teacher, I have a party and I need a male companion. Not interested. Go find a boy yourself. There should be many boys in school who would be willing to be your partner. Chen Zhao rejected her decisively. In America, which was a country that advocated freedom, teacher-student relationships were taboo. Even if both parties were adults, a teacher-student relationship was not allowed. This was because the United States had a rule called the taboo of power. For example, between a student and a teacher, the teacher would be the one with the power, while the student would be the one being dominated and threatened. Therefore, if a teacher-student relationship was exposed, the lightest punishment would be investigation and punishment by the school. If it was more serious, the school might even prosecute them. Chen Zhao didn't want to lose his reputation just to get Bohr. Teacher, I really need help. I have to go to that party, but it's not safe for me to go alone. What party? Chen Zhao frowned. A party organized by my manager, Raphael said. In other words, I only need to protect you from being harassed by those people. Yes, Raphael answered. Okay, where are you now? Chen Zhao thought about it. Since Raphael really needed help, he had to help as a teacher. I'm at home. After saying goodbye to Fei Lai, Chen Zhao left. Chen Zhao drove to Raphael's house. Raphael's house was a small villa in a high-end neighborhood. The monthly rent was probably a few $1,000s. A while later, Raphael came out. Seeing Chen Zhao's car, his face turned purple. Chen Zhao drove his rural pickup truck. Teacher, is this your car? Yes. Don't you have any other cars? Yes, it's not convenient, Chen Zhao replied. After all, he had 2 other cars at home. One was a sports car. Ever since Fei Lai got pregnant, it had been rusting in the garage. Fei Lai usually drove a small truck when she went out. The space inside a sports car wasn't suitable for a pregnant woman. Chen Zhao didn't like to drive sports cars either. He preferred driving a small truck. The other one was an RV, which would be too conspicuous if he drove it out. Unless a family went somewhere to play, they wouldn't drive an RV out. "Teacher, your car can't even get past the security guards of the manor," Raphael said helplessly. She'd heard that the party was in Beverly Hills. "Are you going to get in my car or not?" "Never mind." Raphael could only sit in Chen Zhao's car. When they reached the manor, she thought, "I'll just have Chen Zhao park the car at the entrance." Raphael only felt that Chen Zhao's driving was steady. The speed was neither fast nor slow. It was so steady that there weren't any bumps. Moreover, Chen Zhao followed all the traffic rules. This was completely different from the American people. Most of the citizens of the United States played the role of traffic rule breakers. As for drunk driving, it was a common occurrence. In the United States, the number of traffic accidents caused by drunk drivers was 10 times that in China. Of course, this was also because America had many cars. "Teacher, you must be a boring person." "Why do you say that?" "I can see your personality from the way you drive. You don't have any adventurous spirit. Your daily life must be calm too. You have a good job and live your life peacefully." "Really?" Chen Zhao always felt that traffic rules should be followed. In accidents caused by breaking traffic rules, it wasn't the person who was hurt the most. It was the other person. Chen Zhao didn't think that he was good at driving. Even if he drove 100 kilometers and crashed into a wall, he might not be hurt. But if he crashed into someone or another car, it was almost murder. A while later, the two arrived at Beverly Hills. "What's the address?" Chen Zhao asked. Raphael gave him the address. "Here." Chapter 10:10. "Park the car here," LoveLore said. "You can't drive in with your car. How about we bet $100? I can drive in. Here's $100. LoveLore didn't even think before betting with Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao drove the car to the gate. The servant checking invitations at the door saw Chen Zhao's car and immediately moved aside, letting Chen Zhao in. Chen Zhao turned his head and glanced at LoveLore. "Thank you for the $100. LoveLore was a bit surprised. Is the management here so lax? Chen Zhao would come here once or twice a month. Everyone here knew him. Especially when the housekeeper of the Dell family was Mary. LoveLore realized that Chen Zhao was very familiar with the place. Usually, when guests came to parties, they would park their cars by the aisle. However, Chen Zhao went straight to the garage. Moreover, he could find the garage precisely in such a large manner. "Teacher, you've been here before?" "Yes, get out." As soon as Chen Zhao got out, Mary appeared in the garage. "Hi, darling." Mary glanced at LoveLore, who had gotten out of the car, and then looked at Chen Zhao with a dark expression. "Chen, who's this woman? You know that she's pregnant, but you can't come out and mess around." "Ah. Mary, you're mistaken. She's my student. Apart from that, we have nothing to do with each other." "Really? Really?" Chen Zhao shrugged. "I'm here to accompany her to the party." "Oh, keep an eye on her later. If anyone harasses her, kick them out." "Okay, I'm not here anymore. I still have a lot of things to do." With that, Mary turned and left. LoveLore looked at Chen Zhao. "Who is she?" "She's Mary, the housekeeper here." No wonder Chen Zhao was so familiar with the place. He knew the housekeeper, LoveLore thought. LoveLore arrived at the manor. Looking at the size, she couldn't help but click her tongue. The size of the manor was unimaginably large. Just the swimming pool alone was bigger than the apartment she was renting, not to mention the rest. "The owner is very rich, right?" "A major shareholder of CAA, Chen Zhao said. Lepore was shocked. A major shareholder of CAA was one of the most powerful people in Hollywood. If you're in trouble, go find Mary, Chen Zhao said. I won't stay with you. Where are you going? I'll go greet someone I know. Oh, all right then. Chen Zhao went to Risvar's manor. After all, they were already here. Whether it was Del or Risvar, they had to greet them. Chen Zhao was also familiar with Risvar's family, so he easily entered the house. Hi, Chen, why are you here? Risvar had heard from the guard that Chen Zhao was here, so he came out to welcome him. One of my students came to Del's party, Chen Zhao said. I only found out about Del's party when I came, so I came to say hi to you. I have to go later. Then let's go together, Risvar said. Is Laura not at home? She took Vera and Ronnie to New York to play. I'm the only one at home. Just then, his phone rang. Hey, Chen, I heard from Mary that you're here. Where are you now? Why can't I find you? I'm at Risvar's place. We're planning to go together. Oh, then I'll wait for you. With that, Del hung up. Hyson found Lepore, and when he saw Lepore's exquisite makeup, his eyes couldn't help but light up. Lepore, come here. I'll introduce a few friends to you. Lepore's eyes flashed as she looked at Hyson. She seemed hesitant. You're already here. What are you waiting for? It's good for you to make more friends. Lepore had no choice but to follow Hyson to the garden. There were two people sitting in the garden. When they saw Hyson and Lepore, their eyes lit up. Hi, Mr. White, Mr. Wilson. Hyson went up to greet them. She's Lepore, my model. Hyson tugged at Lepore. Lepore, Mr. White is an independent film director. He's directed several movies. Mr. Wilson is a famous screenwriter. When Raphael heard about independent films, he had already lost interest. What was an independent film? It was an artistic film that broke away from the producer system of Hollywood. It was self-funded and even self-directed. It couldn't be said that independent films had no influence, but they were undeniably a minority. If it were one of the top independent film directors, Lepore might be interested. But this White, she had never heard of him at all. Hyson was telling the truth. White was indeed an independent film director. But to be precise, he was just an assistant director or an assistant director. Miss Lepore, you're really good. Are you interested in entering the big screen? If you are, I can help you choose a few good roles. Lepore, haven't you always wanted to be in a movie? What are you waiting for? Hurry up and thank Mr. White. Thank you, Mr. White. Miss Lepore, I can also tailor a movie script for you. Why don't we discuss it in depth? White and Wilson took turns to throw sugar-coated bullets at her. Lepore smiled insincerely. She always had an unapproachable attitude. She didn't accept or reject. She offered to give a role and a tailor-made script the first time they met. What did she have to do? It was impossible. Miss Lepore, I've provided scripts to many famous directors. For example, I'm one of the co-writers for Sea Patrol. Many scenes were written by me. Wilson took the initiative to elevate his status. The so-called co-writer was actually a small scriptwriter in the editing team, or even just an assistant scriptwriter. But now, anyone who was even a little bit related to Stephen would become superior. And the two of them often used this to deceive some inexperienced girls. Thank you, Mr. White. Thank you, Mr. Wilson. I still have something to do. I'll leave first. Lepore was sure that the two wanted to trick her. Seeing that Lepore was about to leave, the two's expressions changed. They turned to look at Hyson. Hyson immediately stopped Lepore. Lepore, what are you doing? I asked you to come here to introduce people to you. Is this your attitude? Hyson, I know what you're up to, LoveLore said coldly. Chapter 10-11. LoveLore turned around and left. Hyson had made it clear. People with different principles could not make plans together. However, Hyson was not willing to be stood up by LoveLore. It was a real loss. LoveLore, stop. Hyson grabbed LoveLore again. Do you want to stay in the modeling circle or not? This was the killer move he used to threaten his models. Hyson couldn't ban LoveLore. But for models like Raphael, who was old and had nothing outstanding, it was very likely that he would stay on the runway for a few more years and leave the modeling circle when he was 24 or 25. If a model had been in the industry for 3 years and still wasn't famous, then she might not have the chance to become famous again. Nowadays, all the famous models, without exception, were either 18 or 19 years old, or had become famous when they were 18 or 19. Raphael tried to shake it off, but failed. Let go. Hyson tightened his grip. LoveLore, you have to agree today. I don't want to talk nonsense with you. Let go. LoveLore, do you want to stay in the modeling circle or not? I want to terminate the contract. Terminate the contract. If you want to terminate the contract before the contract expires, you have to pay $200,000. Can you afford it? Just then, a voice came. Let go of me. Mary rushed over. Hyson and LoveLore were both shocked. Hyson let go of LoveLore's hand. What are you doing? Mary shouted. Who are you? It's none of your business. Hyson looked at Mary, who was wearing a servant's clothes, with disdain. Now, get out of the manor, or I'll throw you out. I was invited here by the owner. Who do you think you are? You won't leave. Don't regret it. Mary looked at Hyson angrily. How dare a servant be so presumptuous? Hyson did not take Mary seriously at all. LoveLore, you'd better be sensible. Let's go. Mary pulled LoveLore away. You'll regret it, Hyson shouted behind LoveLore. LoveLore followed Mary, but her heart was heavy. She knew that her career would be very difficult. Miss Mary, where are we going? Find someone who can help you vent your anger, Mary said. Mary led Bob into the drawing room. Mr. Dell, come here. Dell's eyes lit up when he saw Raphael beside Mary. Mary, the girl beside you is so beautiful. Do you want to introduce her to me? Miss LoveLore was brought here by Chin. She's his student. Are you sure you want to know her? Forget it. What's the matter? Miss LoveLore was bullied just now. Who dares to mess around in my manor? Dell frowned. Mary was a little surprised. This young man was the owner of this manor. From their tone, it seemed that this man was very familiar with his teacher. It's my agent. He wants me to sell my body. What do you do? Model. Aren't you Chen's student? I'm studying at UCLA. Modeling is my part-time job. Dell nodded. What's your agent's name? Hyson. Hyson. I don't know him. How did he get my party invitation? Just then, Chen Zhao and Risvar walked in. Chen, you're here. Dell glanced behind LoveLore. LoveLore turned around and saw Chen Zhao walking over. LoveLore, how come you're here? Aren't you going to get to know the guests? Chen, you're such a terrible teacher, Mary said directly. Your student was bullied. LoveLore, what happened? Lowering her head, LoveLore told Chen Zhao the whole story. Chen, I had someone throw the 3 guys into the sea to feed the sharks, Risvar said. LoveLore looked at Risvar. Who was this guy? Judging from his tone, He sounded like a mafia boss. There's no need. Chen Zhao waved his hand. Don't always think about using violence. The three of them were still in the garden. At this moment, a tall woman walked over. Hey, don't you have a girlfriend? The three's eyes lit up when they saw the woman. Hi, how should I address you? Hyson asked. I'm Merlin, the beauty introduced herself. The three also introduced themselves, exaggerating their professions and identities as usual. How about we go somewhere else to drink? Merlin asked in a teasing tone. Hyson and the other two didn't suspect anything. They only felt that the woman was truly sexy. Where are we going? Somewhere where there's wine and no one will disturb us, Merlin said. The three of them impatiently followed behind Merlin. Merlin turned left and right. Hyson looked around hesitantly. Merlin, you've been here before. Yes. Smiling, Merlin said, let's go to the wine cellar. No one will disturb us there. Hyson, White, and Wilson immediately felt their bodies heat up. The lock of the wine cellar seemed to be broken. The three followed Merlin into the wine cellar. The wine cellar was filled with the aroma of wine. The racks were filled with all kinds of famous wines. The three of them were attracted by the wine. They realized that many of the wines were expensive and famous. Hyson picked up a bottle of wine and sucked in a breath of cold air. This is Saint Brandy. This bottle alone costs $200,000. Merlin looked at Hyson. Throw it over and let me have a look. Hyson threw the bottle to Merlin. Merlin purposely missed it. The wine bottle fell to the ground and shattered with a clang. Oh no, let's go. We can't stay here. What are you afraid of? There's so much wine here. Even the owner won't be able to find us. Don't you want to play a game here? The three of them felt a little horny. Merlin pointed at a bottle on a rack. Open that bottle. We have a lot of time to play. Open a few more bottles, Merlin said. Let's party to our heart's content. The three of them were a little slow in thinking. They enjoyed the wine to their heart's content. I'll go get some food. Wait for me here. I'll be back soon. Merlin licked his lips. Okay, come back quickly. After leaving the wine cellar, Merlin kept her head down and covered her face with her hair. She had to avoid the surveillance camera above her head in case the police found her. Merlin went to a living room on the third floor. Chen Zhao and the others were inside. Mr. Risfar, it's done. Chapter 10-12. Lepore had seen everything happen the whole time. If it were her, she wouldn't spend $200,000, no matter how big of a grudge she had. But the others in the room seemed to take it for granted. Chen Zhao was the one who'd come up with the idea. When Lepore looked at Chen Zhao, she was a little afraid. The wine in the cellar was at least tens of thousands of dollars, and the most was at least hundreds of thousands. Lepore knew very well that the three of them were dead for sure. Merlin had left without hesitation. She couldn't afford to offend anyone in the room. Everyone in the room was a man-eating beast. Are you satisfied now that I helped you vent your anger? Chen Zhao asked. Lepore lowered her head. After a while, she said, Hyson has my contract. Leave it to me, Dell said. Mary, call the police. The three were still in a daze. Hyson asked, why isn't Merlin back yet? The door to the cellar opened and a group of police officers walked in. They saw the broken pieces of wine bottles on the ground and the strong smell of alcohol permeated the air. Mr. Policeman, it's them. They came in here to steal and deliberately destroy the wine storage here. Wait. What are you doing? What are you doing? What happened? The three immediately resisted, but the police didn't care. They handcuffed them right away. Just then, Dell led the way to the three. LoveLore followed behind him. LoveLore, what's going on? Gentlemen, you barged into my party and broke the lock of my cellar. You stole from the cellar and caused me great losses. I need compensation, Dell said indifferently. Dell said calmly, of course, you can refuse, but I can guarantee that you will return the money to me. The three immediately sobered up. Then they started sweating. They suddenly realized what they'd done. Wait. We didn't do it. A woman brought us here. We don't know, woman. What woman? There's no woman here. It's true. There's really a woman. We were tricked. Hyson suddenly looked at LoveLore. It's you. LoveLore, is it you? LoveLore only smiled and didn't speak. At this moment, Raphael felt very relieved. Who would have thought that Hyson, who used to strut around in front of her, would be in such a sorry state? This is a trap, a fraud. Hyson had already come to his senses. You deliberately lured us here. I'm going to sue you, all of you, and the police. I'm going to file a complaint against you too. Mr. Officer, please take them to the police station. I'll send my lawyer to negotiate with them later, Dell said. They basically didn't need to worry about what would happen next. I'll send you back. After everything was over, Chen Zhao drove Raphael home. Raphael did not speak again along the way. Just because of a single conflict, Chen Zhao had caused Hyson and the other two to suffer heavy losses. By the time they left, things had already come to an end. Hyson, who had been unyielding before, returned LoveLore's contract to Lapar. At the same time, he also paid Dell $1 million. This made Raphael see Chen Zhao, his teacher, in a new light. It also made her afraid of Chen Zhao. His teacher was far more dangerous than Hyson. When he had money, he would definitely return it as soon as possible. He definitely couldn't be offended. Raphael secretly made up her mind. We're here. Get out. Thank you, teacher. Exhausted, Raphael returned home. However, she was filled with confusion about her future. She was free now, but she didn't have any background. Without an agency or manager, she couldn't even get a job. Of course, she could find a job on her own. But as a model, not to mention whether she was qualified for the job. She couldn't allocate her time. The next day, Raphael seemed to be unaffected by anything. After dressing up carefully, she went out. Baroness Clubhouse was the most high-end clubhouse in Los Angeles. Just the area alone was comparable to a community park. The architectural style was similar to that of medieval Europe, but with a modern aesthetic. Even the celebrities in Hollywood flocked to it. However, Raphael was stopped at the door. Please take out your work pass. Sorry, I'm here for an interview. Oh, take this temporary pass and go in from there. The slogan in America was equality for all. But in this country, it was the most unequal society in the world. People were divided into the rich and the poor. The hidden class system was very obvious. The rich were the nobles here, and the poor were nothing here. For example, in Baroness Clubhouse, you couldn't even walk through the front door. Of course, Raphael wasn't the kind of person who wouldn't walk through the front door. Having been a model for so many years, she knew very well that the status of a model was not as glamorous as it seemed. When Raphael entered the clubhouse for the interview, there were already about 100 models there. A 1/10 acceptance rate was higher than expected. Raphael thought to herself. For some companies, the acceptance rate might be 1/20th or even 1/30th. The interview was very fast. The average time for each model was about 3 minutes. And it wasn't just one interviewer. When Raphael entered the interview room, there was a man and a woman sitting inside. The two from Raphael were two of the three main designers of the Baroness, Triss and Cooper. Many stars flocked to their clothes, but they couldn't get them. Good figure, but it's a pity that the clothes don't match. This year's popular lipstick is dark pink. Your fashion sense is too low. 22 years old. The upper age limit is also 22 years old, Triss said. Also, are you in college? Yes. Will your studies be affected? Or will your runway show and rehearsals be affected? Cooper asked. I have my teacher's approval and got his signature. I will focus on modeling, Raphael said seriously. If a student wanted to do other part-time jobs, he or she needed the teacher's approval. Otherwise, they wouldn't be allowed to work. Raphael took out her part-time application and placed it in front of Triss and Cooper. It was stamped by the school and signed by the teacher. Take a few steps. Average, Triss commented. And there's no agency. Sorry, Miss Raphael, you don't meet the requirements of our company. Please. Chapter 10:13. What a waste of time. Cooper pursed his lips. Is our Baroness brand really that cheap? Anyone dares to come here for an interview. LoveLore had already turned to leave. Hearing Cooper's words, she hurried and left as if she was escaping. Just then, Cooper flipped to the application that LoveLore had left on his desk and saw the signature. Cooper's expression froze. Chen Zhao. Cooper was no stranger to this signature, nor was he unfamiliar with this name. Triss, look. This signature. This is Mr. Chen's signature. That girl is Mr. Chen's student. Cooper's face paled. Cooper and Triss rushed out of the house and looked for Raphael. That girl was Chen Zhao's student. She was probably here because Chen Zhao had asked her to come. It would be fine if Cooper had only brushed her off. But if Chen Zhao heard what he said at the end, he wouldn't be able to control himself. What would the consequences be? Cooper remembered clearly the missing Brighton. From that day onwards, Brighton had never appeared again. It was as if he had evaporated. Cooper, Triss, and Nat were all in awe of Chen Zhao. Now, Cooper had made Chen Zhao's student leave in anger. The consequences would be severe. There. Ignoring how many pairs of eyes were watching, the two chased after LoveLore. Miss LoveLore, please wait. LoveLore stopped and turned around, confused. Is there anything else? I was just joking with you. You're hired. I don't like joking. LoveLore felt that the two were teasing her. She was about to leave. Trish hurriedly pulled LoveLore back. Miss LoveLore, I'm serious. I'm serious. Please stay. LoveLore frowned and looked at the two in confusion. What was wrong with them? Why did their attitudes change so much? Why? I don't have a management company or background. You said that my runway skills are mediocre. No, you are very good, very good. Our Baroness needs a model like you. As long as you are willing, you can become a regular model for our brand. Plus, you will definitely be included in our Baroness annual magazine. LoveLore was even more confused. What was going on between the two of them? He definitely did not have that much influence. Moreover, he knew his own abilities. If there was something special about her, she wouldn't have been so unknown after being in the modeling industry for so many years. Are you serious? Yes, we are serious. I want to read the contract first. Of course, no problem. 20 minutes later, Raphael finished reading the contract. Shock was written all over her face. This contract was already considered the best treatment for a signed model. Her salary was 3 times higher than before, $3,000 a show. Moreover, there were all kinds of benefits and basic salary. Raphael didn't understand why he could get such a salary. Miss Laper, if there's no problem, we can sign the contract now. Raphael nodded and signed his name. Raphael, the offensive words we said just now. Can you not let Mr. Chen know? Raphael was stunned. You know my teacher. How funny. How could we not know each other? Mr. Chen is friends with our boss, Cooper said in a roundabout way. Raphael didn't expect Chen Zhao to have so many connections. Moreover, it seemed that these two top fashion designers were very afraid of being stale. The interview was very enjoyable. I don't know what Mr. Cooper is talking about. Cooper heaved a sigh of relief. Miss Raphael, our company will be shooting a promotional video tomorrow. Remember to come early. Of course, no problem. Helis was the third person to pass the first level of the Tower of Trials. Before her, only Gaia and Norma had passed the first level. Moreover, she had also passed the first level perfectly and obtained a SSS score. Payne and Eric looked at Helis enviously. Ever since she'd obtained the Death Mist in Sandro National Park, Helis' abilities had improved by leaps and bounds. Helis, from now on, you're an official member of the association, Chen Zhao said. You'll be treated like an official member. Chen Zhao looked at Payne and Eric. You two work hard too. Don't lose to the girls. The two wanted to cry. Was the first level so easy to pass? Most people in the association didn't pass. Then Chen Zhao turned to West and the others. You guys have to work hard too. Didn't you realize that apart from me, everyone who passed the first level is a girl? Gaia, Norma, and Helis. Chen Zhao's words didn't just put pressure on Helis. The other girls were also under pressure. Patya, Alice, Jolanash, and Giselle were all very upset. Especially Jolanash. She used to be the strongest person in the association. But now, she wasn't even in the rankings. It was fine if she was weaker than Chen Zhao. But now, even newbies were stronger than her. She was very unhappy. If you're unhappy, then work harder. Patya was a support type. She definitely couldn't pass the first level alone. So, Chen Zhao wouldn't force her. Alice was a magic library. Battle magic wasn't her strong suit either. All the pressure was on Jolanash and Giselle. Guild leader, I would like to ask you to take me to the 4th floor, Helis stated her request. 4th level. Why? You can't survive on the 4th level with your strength. Because there are skeleton mages on the 4th level. They also use black magic and necromancy. They're the abilities I need to learn the most. I hope to learn magic from them, Helis said. Sure, but I'm not sure if I can take you to the 4th level, Chen Zhao said. One person going in was a different level of difficulty. 2 people going in was another level of difficulty. Get ready. I'll take you there the next time you can go in. I can go in now, Helis said. I didn't go to the 2nd level just now. Instead, I saved the 1st level. Okay, then let's go in now and start from the 2nd level. As soon as Chen Zhao and Helis entered the 2nd level, monsters started appearing. Chapter 10:14. Earthshaker was much bigger than the twisted monster, but it wasn't just in size that it was stronger. When they ran on the ground, Chen Zhao and Helis felt the ground shake. They seemed to have their own magic that could directly affect the ground. Anyway, it kept shaking. Chen Zhao and Helis couldn't stand still. If he wanted to take Helis to the 4th floor, she couldn't die before that. Helis immediately released the death mist. However, when the death mist enveloped Earthshaker, it was dispersed with a punch. The death mist was too little of a threat to Earthshakers. Just then, the Earthshaker before Helis raised its arms and smashed down at her head. Because of the shaking, Helis couldn't stand still at all. Chen Zhao immediately covered Helis with the dark serum. Helis' face paled in fear. She knew she wouldn't die, but the thrilling feeling made her heart jump. The monsters on the second floor were too strong. They couldn't be compared to the first floor at all. She didn't know how Chen Zhao had passed. Of course, she even doubted if Chen Zhao could take her through the second floor. Chen Zhao also had a hard time. The shaking made it hard for him to stand still, which affected his fighting ability. Chen Zhao kicked off and flew into the air. He stepped on the shoulder of an Earthshaker and stomped hard. The Earthshaker was stomped to the ground. Chen Zhao used the momentum to jump and punch another Earthshaker. However, Chen Zhao couldn't land on the ground. He had to land on the Earthshaker every time. If he landed on the ground, he wouldn't be able to stand still. He had to regain his balance. Looking at Chen Zhao's figure, Helis was dazzled. She knew that Chen Zhao was very powerful and had many trump cards. However, it was different from the casual and cynical way he'd dealt with the mother last time. This time, Chen Zhao was very serious, even though he didn't use his trump cards. He displayed a completely different kind of combat ability from last time. She couldn't even deal with one Earthshaker, but Chen Zhao could do it easily. Of course, it was an exaggeration to say that he could do it easily. But Chen Zhao could really deal with it easily. Earthshakers weren't strong because of their size or strength. In these two aspects, Chen Zhao far surpassed them. It was the vibration of the ground when they approached. Moreover, Chen Zhao didn't just have to deal with Earthshaker. At the same time, he had to protect Helith. His ultimate goal wasn't to kill to his heart's content. Instead, it was to lead Helith to the fourth floor. Therefore, Chen Zhao's battle range had always been around Helith. Chen Zhao had been jumping around the whole time. The battle lasted for more than half an hour before it finally ended. Harold looked at him. "President, do you want to rest? You can bring me to the third floor next time." Chen Zhao shook his head. "No need. Actually, it's quite interesting to pass the second level as a duo. It's much more interesting than solo." From Helis' perspective, the entire process was extremely thrilling. But to Chen Zhao, it was only interesting. Helios shook his head with a bitter smile. The second floor was rated D+, not bad. Next time, I'll find someone else to play on the second floor. Let's go to the third floor. The two entered the third floor at the same time. The monster that appeared on the third floor was the winged demon. But now, it was a duo, so the monsters were different too. The monsters that appeared on the third floor were a group of armored wyverns. Chen Zhao wasn't unfamiliar with wyverns. After all, he'd eaten many of them. In hell, wyverns were also common magical beasts. Wyverns were used as mounts or meat sources by lords or great lords, but it didn't mean they were weak. If they got aggressive, they could still be very fatal. They were like war horses. They were mounts. But they could also bring danger to people who weren't familiar with them. Chen Zhao wasn't confident that he could protect Helith in such a situation. So, he took out the 12 stone swords and the zither. Helith looked at him in surprise. She'd never seen this before. She didn't know why Chen Zhao took out the zither. But the next moment, she knew. When the 12 stone swords danced in the air, everything in the surroundings vanished in an instant. Blood and flesh rained down from the sky. Everything around them was cut into pieces. She opened her mouth and stared at Chen Zhao in disbelief. So powerful. She couldn't even deal with a wyvern. But Qin Zhao was killing wyverns. The entire process took less than 60 seconds. The battle was over. 100 wyverns had been slaughtered by Qin Zhao. Pass, 3S rating. Qin Zhao felt that he'd held back more than last time when he tried the zither. It seemed that his magic power had increased a bit in the past few days. Okay, you've passed the 3rd floor. You don't need me to carry you anymore, right? Helith still hadn't recovered from the shock. Her gaze toward Qin Zhao was filled with admiration. That kind of indescribable power had deeply shocked her heart. President, don't you want to see what kind of monsters the duo on the 4th floor are? Qin Zhao thought about it. Then he'd go to the 4th floor. He wouldn't lose anything anyway. After entering the 4th floor, a black cloud appeared in the sky and shrouded the two of them. Then, a bolt of lightning fell from the sky. Before Qin Zhao and Helith could react, it struck Helith's head. Helith screamed and left the Tower of Trials. A huge charred bird was left on the ground. Just then, another bolt of lightning fell from the sky. Qin Zhao took a closer look and saw a bird in the lightning. A thunderbird. The bird was hidden in the lightning. It fell from the sky and landed on Qin Zhao's head. The ground around Qin Zhao was charred. Electricity flowed through Qin Zhao's body, making him feel very comfortable. In Western mythology, the thunderbird was a kind of mythical beast that was born and died in lightning. Their lifespans were extremely short. They only existed for an instant. Another thunderbird landed on Qin Zhao's head. Qin Zhao lifted his arm. Seeing the chance, he opened the mouth of gluttony. The lightning was swallowed by the mouth of gluttony. Just then, Qin Zhao felt his entire arm tremble. The mouth of gluttony was swallowing and obtaining the thunderbird's characteristics. Perhaps because of the lightning, the 4th eye on his arm opened. The 4th eye kept emitting electric sparks and pouring them into the mouth of gluttony. The mouth of gluttony was like a flamethrower, constantly brewing electricity. Boom! Chapter 10:15. However, after the lightning exploded in the sky, it was only a small circle for the entire cloud. A thunderbird landed on Qin Zhao's head. Qin Zhao felt great again. The thunderbird didn't do much damage to Qin Zhao. It could even be said to be non-existent. The thunderbird wasn't real natural lightning. It was much weaker than the 2 times Qin Zhao had been struck by lightning. Now, even if Qin Zhao faced real natural lightning again, he was confident that he could survive it. Compared to that, the thunderbird's lightning was only 1/10 as powerful. Qin Zhao had already been struck 20 to 30 times. Not only did he not feel any pain, but he even got used to it. It wasn't that he didn't feel anything, but the damage was much lower. There seemed to be only thunderbirds on the 4th level. There weren't any other monsters. 98 times, 99 times, 100 times, as expected, there was a notification that he had passed. Qin Zhao felt like he was full of energy. The mana he'd used on the 3rd level had completely recovered. The 4th eye on his right arm also closed. Qin Zhao didn't know what the 4th eye was like. However, he suspected that it had something to do with lightning. Because he was a human again, a large number of 3-headed dragons appeared on the 5th level again. Qin Zhao did the same thing again. He cut through the Gordian knot and passed the 5th level. Then, he recorded it and left the Tower of Trials. President, you're out. How did you pass the 4th level? Helis had been waiting for Qin Zhao outside. I passed. The 4th level is a 2-person mode. I just have to be struck by lightning 100 times. Helis' face darkened. She'd been struck in the head by the first lightning and died. Qin Zhao had been struck by lightning 100 times inside. It seemed that the difference between her and Qin Zhao wasn't just in power. Even his ability to resist attacks was worlds apart. Jolig, Padalu, and Giselle are at the headquarters, right? Yes. Help me find them. I need their help with something. Soon, the three of them were called to Qin Zhao. Helis also joined in the fun. President, why are you looking for us? I want to touch high-voltage electricity, but I'm not sure if it will affect the headquarters' electricity. Everyone exchanged glances, not knowing what Qin Zhao was trying to do. President. If you want to feel an electric shock, the socket in the room can satisfy your needs. Jolig wondered if Qin Zhao was a masochist. What I need is a higher current, at least 1,000,000 volts. Guild leader, what are you planning to do? I have a spell that requires a strong electric current to verify. Understood. Shall we build a power room for you? Sure. Qin Zhao nodded. How long? It will take some time. Okay, let me know when it's done, Qin Zhao said. But first, make me an accessible interface. Then let's go to our studio. The three brought Qin Zhao to the studio. It was a bit messy. Many parts were scattered all over the place. Guild leader, hold on to these 2 electric pliers. However, these electric pliers are connected to batteries, so they can only provide a limited amount of power and voltage. At most, they can provide up to 300,000 volts for 10 minutes. Sure, turn on the switch. Qin Zhao grabbed the electric pliers. Jolig knew that Qin Zhao was strong. The electricity shouldn't be able to hurt him. The moment Jolig turned on the switch, electricity surged into Qin Zhao's body. Qin Zhao realized that the 4th eye had opened. The mana he'd used in the Tower of Trials was also recovering. However, the recovery was very weak. It wasn't as fast as his automatic recovery. It seemed that his guess was right. The 4th eye had opened because of the Thunderbird. It could absorb electricity and recover mana. Earlier, in the Tower of Trials, the Thunderbird had kept attacking Qin Zhao. The 4th eye had absorbed it and converted it into mana for Qin Zhao. However, the amount of electricity that could be converted into mana was too low. Everyone in the studio saw that the electric pliers in Qin Zhao's hands had turned red, but Qin Zhao seemed like nothing had happened. Qin Zhao tossed the pliers down and clapped his hands. Too low. I can't feel anything. Everyone was speechless. Qin Zhao couldn't feel anything from the voltage that could electrocute someone. Since the 4th eye was related to lightning, he'd call it the Eye of the Thunder. However, the Eye of the Thunder was a bit useless. Unless Qin Zhao encountered an enemy with the lightning element, or he was fighting in a thunderstorm. Otherwise, it wouldn't be very useful. Or he could carry a generator with him. But Qin Zhao couldn't really carry a super generator with him. When he was tired and used up all his mana, he could turn on the generator to charge himself. So, the Eye of the Thunder was indeed invincible under certain circumstances. However, it could not generate electricity on its own, nor could it provide magic power. Qin Zhao's power hadn't increased. What had increased was Qin Zhao's diversity. Hurry up and finish the power room. Just then, Gaia entered the room. Qin, I heard that you just brought Helis to the 4th floor. You don't want to go too, do you? It's meaningless to you. No, I'm not interested in the 4th floor. If I want to go, I'll rely on my own abilities, Gaia said. I'm more interested in the monster Earthshaker that appeared in the duo on the 2nd floor. Really? Me too. Compared to the monsters before and after, Earthshaker is more interesting. It's more useful for actual combat training. You think so too? Gaia said. I think so too. Earthshaker can be understood as a more complicated terrain. Chen Zhao had to admit that Gaia and Gaia had the same thoughts. Then when can we go play on the second floor together? No problem. I'm also interested in Earthshaker. Gaia and Chen Zhao were two completely different people. Gaia had the heart of a strong person. Chen Zhao, on the other hand, was interested. Oh, I heard that you left those two rookies in the Crypt Demon ruins. They asked for it. They're just kids. Don't be too harsh on them. Gaia also roughly knew about the grudge between Lit Grove and Bona Twain and Chen Zhao. However, in her eyes, both of them were just children. They're older than a quarter of the people in the society. They're not kids anymore. You've punished them enough. I'll bring them back tonight. Chapter 10:16. This was Gaia's first time in the Crypt Demon ruins. When the supernatural organization first fought against the family, she hadn't joined the supernatural organization yet. Last time when Lit Grove and Bona Twain came to the rescue, she was busy and didn't come. Gaia had been looking for a chance to come and see this place. She had always heard about how fierce and cruel the Crypt Demons here were. Unfortunately, she wouldn't have the chance to see it. At the very least, there was no chance under normal circumstances. Because when she entered the Crypt Demon ruins, she took out the association's badge. The Crypt Demon was leading the way. He had no intention of attacking her. Gaia was not the type to act indiscriminately. Therefore, he could only regretfully give up on the idea of making a move. When they entered the depths and saw the pyramid in the ruins, Gaia was also shocked by this great and ancient building. At this moment, Ritter Grove and Bona Twain were like two refugees. In less than 2 days, the two of them had completely abandoned the so-called fear and disgust. Right now, they were sitting in front of the fire, roasting the earth locusts provided by the Crypt Demons. In the face of hunger, any bottom line would become non-existent. Just a day ago, they were still filled with disgust towards the earth locust. But now, the earth locust was their food. Even though they could not eat the earth locust raw. You two are better than I thought. At this moment, Gaia's voice sounded. Both of them jumped in fright. When they looked carefully, they realized that it was Gaia. Although the two of them were in a sorry state, they did not collapse. Gaia was quite pleased with this. Miss Gaia. Why are you here? If you come to pick me up, then leave. Aw. Really? But, the president said, we haven't reached the 3rd day yet. It hasn't even been 2 days, right? The two of them became hesitant again. After all, if they disobeyed Chen Zhao's orders again, now, they would have to face Chen Zhao's thunderous fury. After overcoming their initial fear, they discovered that this place was not as scary as they had imagined. Thus, they'd rather obediently complete Chen Zhao's punishment. Instead of running away on his own. I'm friends with Chen. I've already told him, Gaia said. So you can leave now. Really? That's wonderful. I can finally leave this place. Don't celebrate too early, Lit. You need to continue your work. Chen isn't going to let you off so easily. Lit Grove wanted to cry but had no tears. If only he had known Chen Zhao was so terrifying. From the first day they met, he would obediently pretend to be a grandson. It was just that he was used to being domineering in the past. He thought that all teachers in the world were the same. He could bully her as he pleased. Who would have thought that Chen Zhao was a terrifying demon king? However, Ritter Grove was no longer as afraid as before. Although the job wasn't that glamorous. But now, he had experienced such a terrifying thing. There didn't seem to be anything to be afraid of when he went to guard the morgue. Pack up. Let's go. Gaia realized that the two of them seemed to have grown a lot. although it was only 2 days. But they seemed to have become completely different people. Flint, Rags, and 2 earth locust. Why are you carrying these things? A memorial, Ritter Grove said. Breathing in the fresh air outside again, both of them felt their eyes moisten. It was such a touching feeling. Don't make Chin angry anymore. He's been lenient enough to the 2 of you. Do you know how he dealt with the last person who tried to harm him? I know. He stuffed that person into a meat grinder. Good. The next day, Lit Grove had a good night's sleep and went straight to the headquarters of the association. Unfortunately, Chen Zhao wasn't there today. After asking, he found out that Chen Zhao didn't come every day. Just then, Gaia walked in and saw Ritter Grove. Why are you here? Ms. Gaia, I'm here to see if there's anything I can help with. If there's an operation, you participate. If not, you're busy with your own things or training. How do I train? Ritter Grove asked. West has a public trial ring. Go get it from him and then go to the Tower of Trials. And then? You'll know after you go in. Just then, Helly's walked in. She'd heard that Ritter Grove had offended Chen Zhao, so she was very unhappy with him. If he wasn't Chen Zhao's student, he would have been torn into pieces. Even if Chen Zhao didn't do anything, she wouldn't let him go. Helly's, you're here. How about we go to the 2nd level together? Sorry, Gaia, I have to keep the 4th level file. Also, I just came out, so I can't go in for a while. Okay, I'll go find Norma. Ever since Norma passed the 1st level, she had no progress on the 2nd. She was already very lucky on the 1st level. Her Eye of Nightmare was useless on the 2nd. Ritter Grove got a ring and went to the Tower of Trials. He'd heard the other members mention the Tower of Trials a few times before. However, he didn't know what exactly it was. Every time, they talked about it vaguely. He didn't know what was inside either. Just then, Gaia and Norma walked over. Ms. Gaia, Miss Norma. Why are you standing here? Since you got the ring, put it on and press it against the stone door. Ritter Grove pressed his palm against the door according to Gaia's instructions. Instantly, Ritter Grove whispered in front of the 2 of them. How about we bet how long he stays in there? Norma said. 30 seconds, $100. I bet 15 seconds. Gaia looked at the time. Very quickly, 30 seconds passed. Ritter Grove still hadn't come out. 45 seconds later, Lit Grove came out. However, from the looks of it, he was quite frightened. Not bad, kid. You can actually stay in there for 45 seconds. How did you do it? I'm not dead. I'm not dead. What happened just now? Was it an illusion? It's real, but the Tower of Trials doesn't kill people. At least, you won't be killed as long as you have the ring, Gaia said. Gaia said, you still haven't answered my question. How did you last 45 seconds? I dodged the first wave of attacks, Ritter Grove said. Oh. How did you do that? You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.